Hey, good afternoon, everybody. 7 minutes past the hour, 3 o'clock. This is The Drive on Super Talk 99.7 WTN, and I am your friend and radio buddy. Somebody said, how come you never explain what a FARB is? I do, I think, every hour, don't I? Friend and radio buddy.
Yeah, if you're not paying attention, you got to spell it out for some people.
If I have to spell it out for some people, I guess somebody said, oh, by the way, I've been meaning to talk to you about that, Chris. The tail end of our music still has the three dings, right?
That's correct, yes.
Yeah, and people say, but we talk over it a lot.
That's true, yeah.
Because we, I get excited and I'm ready to get started in the show, but people feel like we're not doing the dings like we used to do. I've been getting commentary about it. People love the dings. You remember, this all started one day when I was on the morning show, and the music that we have it ends on three downbeats, ding, ding, ding. And so one day, just because I was bored, in absolute sync with the music, I went like that.
Yeah.
And people loved it. And then for a while, people would be going down the highway, and when they would hit the three, they would honk their horn three times. Honk, honk, honk. And then we got in trouble for that, so we asked people to stop doing it.
Yeah,
but
distracting.
It was distracting, and apparently it may even be borderline illegal. I'm not sure, but one way or the other, we started doing it. Well, then when I moved, when COVID came along, and we had to start doing our shows on remote, it became impossible for me to do that. And the explanation for that is sort of weird, but it basically, when I'm on a remote piece of equipment, there is just the tiniest bit of delay between the time that I say something and the time you hear it.
Yeah.
And so
milliseconds.
It's milliseconds. It's like thousandths of a second. It's amazing how really fast it is, but it's impossible for me to hit the bell in time with the music because the music is slightly ahead when I hear it.
Mm-hmm.
You've heard it before I hear it, and I was always about 20 milliseconds off. Why even bother? If you can't hit it on the beat.
That's right.
I've got rhythm. I've got rhythm. Anyway, so we had to record the dings. And I'm wondering if maybe the dings are a little low.
Well, we talked about this. We had this issue shortly after we transitioned to afternoons, and so I went back and I added a second layer of dings. So I've already...
So maybe what we just need to do is let the dings be heard without us yammering over it.
Maybe so, yeah.
All right. Well, I'm glad we spent this time together.
That's important.
The dings. And then we remember the ding stickers? They were a hot item for a while.
Oh, yeah.
I've seen them.
People still ask me, can I have a ding sticker? And I ran out of ding stickers, and then I got the FARB stickers, and then the FARB stickers ran out. Maybe we need more stickers.
I may have some FARB stickers.
Really?
If anyone out there wants one, you can, always send that self-addressed stamped $20 envelope to us here at the station, 10 Music Circle East.
That's right. Do that, but there's no charge for them if you give us the sassy, self-addressed stamped envelope.
And it needs to be a big enough envelope.
Yeah, this is the thing. This was the madness is somebody would say, yeah, send me one of them stickers, and they'd send us a little tiny envelope about this big, and you couldn't stick the sticker in there.
Without bending it up, and then that kind of ruins it.
And that sort of ruins, when you put it on, it's got all these little folds and creases in it.
Yeah.
That's no good. Well, I don't know. The sticker thing, it was fun. It was fun. All right. I want to talk, if I could, about the economy, because today, the economy, you say, well, why are you starting with that? Well, I'll tell you why, because in an election year, perhaps there is nothing more important than the economy. This year, it seems to be the number one issue is immigration, and we'll talk about that later. But the number two issue is always, your pocketbook, how the economy is working for you. And then, you always want to look and see, is the economy growing? What is the gross domestic product, the GDP? Probably the biggest number that we get from the government every year. And today, the news was not good.
At first quarter GDP, the annual rate 1.6% between January and March. The expectation was 2.4%. This is a much lower than anticipated number. As a refresher, the final 3 months of last year, growth was 3.4%. So we're going from 3.4% all the way down to 1.6%. The consumer is slowing down. Inflation remains high.
Yeah, none of that is good if you're Joe Biden. The latest snapshot, according to the Wall Street Journal, of the U.S. economy rattled stock and bond markets, and with 2 bits of potentially disappointing data, slower economic growth, and still firm inflation. Gross domestic product expanded at a 1.6% seasonally and inflation-adjusted annual rate in the first quarter, the Commerce Department said. A pullback from last year's quick pace that lagged behind the 2.4% projected by economists that had been polled by the Wall Street Journal. I think the market rebounded a little bit, but it took a plunge initially right after the numbers came out. People were saying, wow, that is not good. But I think they have come back. We'll get the stock report and the final numbers coming up at the end of this hour. In other economic news, I think this is going underreported. And how in the world, if you're running for re-election, why in the world would you say this? But Joe Biden did. President Joe Biden signaled on Wednesday that if he wins re-election to this fall, that Americans should expect to see an increase in their taxes, which comes as many are struggling from the high inflation rates that have defined Biden's presidency. This from thedailywire.com. Donald Trump was very proud of his $2 trillion tax cut that overwhelmingly benefited the wealthy and biggest corporations and exploded the federal debt. You know what it also did? It stimulated the economy in a huge way. I mean, we're just hearing now right here, 1.6% GDP growth. That's anemic. We had great, strong growth of our economy every year, and a lot of it was stimulated by the tax cuts. The Democrats hate tax cuts, but they work. They always work. The Reagan cuts worked. The Bush tax cuts worked. Every tax cut that comes along works to stimulate the economy. And when they say, well, it goes to the big corporations and the wealthy. No, when you help the big corporations, what do? They expand their business. and that generates jobs. Anyway, the tax cut is going to expire, and if I am reelected, it's going to stay expired. Report from the Tax Foundation last month explained that Congress has less than 2 years to prevent the vast majority of Americans from getting hit with higher taxes. The law that Biden wants to let expire is the Tax Cut and Jobs Act of 2017, a law that simplified taxes, reduced taxes across all income levels. The TCJA, Tax Cut and Jobs Act, reduced average tax rates for taxpayers at all income levels because it lowered marginal tax rates, widened tax brackets, doubled the child tax credit, zeroed out personal and dependent exemption, nearly doubled the standard deduction, and limited several itemized deductions and the alternative minimum tax, among other changes. Average rates declined across all income groups and have remained below that since their 2017 levels. Biden's willingness to let this law expire on the face of his previous pledge not to raise taxes on those who earn less than $400,000 a year. He's promising. I mean, he's telegraphing right here that if you vote for me, your taxes are going to go up. To me, not a great campaign ad here. I mean, you just gave the Republicans everything they need. He's wrong on immigration. He's wrong on inflation. And to make things even worse, if you elect Joe Biden, he's going to raise your taxes. Okay. The Boeing story has been one that we have followed on and off. And one of the problems is as Boeing sort of, retrenches and decides that it's going to slow down the number of planes that it builds so that it can once again focus on quality and quality control, it has hurt certain airlines, and one of them is Southwest. Southwest announced Thursday that the carrier is going to pull out of several airports. It says this is all because of the financial fallout from Boeing. You see, the thing is, the Boeing 737 is the only plane that Southwest Airline flies. And it's been a good relationship for them all those years. The Boeing 737, before the MAX problems came along, were actually the most reliable airplane in anywhere in the world. It was the workhorse of the industry, and Southwest didn't have to worry about trying to maintain 15 different kinds of aircraft because they only bought one aircraft, the 737, and then its variants that followed. But now, because of the problems, they're going to have to shut down some of its what they call underperforming markets. As a result of these efforts, the Texas-based carrier is closing operations at George Bush Intercontinental Airport. Now, they still go to Hobby. That's their big hub there, but they did have several flights that went through Intercontinental. The Bellingham International Airport in Washington State, this one breaks my heart. The Cozumel International Airport in Mexico, flew there on Southwest not long ago. It was a great trip and a great airport. And the Syracuse Hancock International Airport in New York. Jordan, the owner, CEO Bob Jordan, placed some of the blame on Boeing's manufacturing delays, stating that the recent news from Boeing regarding further aircraft delivery delays presents significant challenges for both 24 and 25. He said it was disappointing to incur a loss in the quarter. Southwest reported a loss of $231 million, or 39 cents a share for the quarter. Southwest is the latest carrier to face cut setbacks due to Boeing. United Airlines announced that it is temporarily pausing pilot hiring due to new aircraft certification. You got to have planes for the pilots to fly, and there you have that. They will also fire 2,000 employees. So they will end this year 2,000 fewer employees than it had at the start of the year. The one thing, I'll get into this a little bit later, because I got other things I want to talk about. They said that they're going to have to rethink the boarding process. You know, open boarding right now is the thing I love about Southwest Airlines, is that you get your ticket and you get in line, you get your ticket early, and then it's just every man for himself when they go on the plane. And if you want to upgrade, then you get the first boarding. And that costs you usually about $30. That's the way I do it. Well, apparently they're saying that some of the other airlines are making billions of dollars by charging a premium for certain seats. Will there really truly become a Southwest first class? That's going to be interesting to see. Finally, so when we're talking about the economy, let's talk about your home, because that's a lot of people's biggest investment. The median U.S. home sale price hit a record $383,725. That's the median price for a home in the United States, ending the week ending April 21st. That's up 5.2%. Now, not many people are buying homes right now, and the interest rates are 7.29%, if you look at it today. And sales have slowed, but the value of your home continues to go up. So if you've got a home, this is good news for you. Your home, on average, across the nation would be worth about 5.2% more than it was a year ago. And that's one of the biggest jumps since October of 2022. And there's some great numbers in here about how long it takes on average houses to get off the market. The daily average fixed rate, 7.39%. Mortgage purchase applications are down just a bit. Redfin Home Buyer Demand Index is down 9%. People touring homes is up 34%. Google searches for homes for sale is down 17%. And as I said, the median price of a home in America up 5.2%. Your average home in America now costs you $383,725. There's about 3.2 months worth of supply on average out there. And you see, the number of homes that are posted and then sell within 2 weeks, not bad, 43%. It's not the market we had before, but it's certainly not horrible, especially if you own right now. You still have a lot of equity in your home. 22 minutes now past the hour of 3 o'clock. Hey, folks, the weather's getting warmer. That means that your grilling season is here. And if you're a fan of Legend Steakhouse like I am, you can enjoy some of those same flavors right at home, right on your very own grill. Take a walk down your local grocery store aisle, places like Walmart and Kroger, and look for Johnny Fleeman's very own brand. See, Johnny Fleeman's Marinade proprietary blend will give your steaks, chicken, or chops a flavor that will hit a home run with family and friends. It's low in sodium, about a third of other brands, and you don't have to worry about over-marinating. You can also use this marinade to enhance almost any dish, your favorite rice recipe, fresh vegetables, just about anything. So don't forget, he also has this honey mustard salad dressing, which is a big favorite. Use it as salad dressing or a dipping sauce for your favorite chicken fingers, fresh-cut veggies or chips, a recipe used in this restaurant for over 35 years. And if your favorite grocer isn't stocking Johnny Fleeman products, well, just ask them to do so. For more information, just go to johnnyfleeman.com. And it goes without saying, for those times when you want someone else to do the cooking, they'll always be glad to see you at your nearest Legend Steakhouse for lunch or for dinner.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Matt Murphy for Members Nutrition. I want to tell you about the Members Nutrition difference, and I want to encourage you to go over to the Members Nutrition website. Number one, they believe at Members Nutrition that they can sell vitamins and supplements at a lower cost point, and they're doing it every single day at membersnutrition.com. Number two, they want to make these products right here in the United States of America, not from some overseas company, and they do that every single day. I encourage you to go to membersnutrition.com. You'll get 50% off your purchase price at checkout. You don't have to put in any codes. Just go to membersnutrition.com. Once again, membersnutrition.com.
Former President Trump in the courtroom again today. 3 men arrested for child pornography and a missing cat story gone wrong. Those stories, 3:30 Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
26 past the hour right now. The Supreme Court today hearing arguments about just how much presidential immunity should a president have. And this is a very big case for Donald Trump. There are trials and cases that are on standby while the Supreme Court answers this question about how much presidential immunity he can claim for some of these things. Because if the High Court rules certain ways, a lot of these cases would go away. I listened for a good portion of the morning. Listening to the Supreme Court and legal arguments is sort of like the auditory equivalent of watching paint dry. It's pretty boring stuff. It's deep legal discussions, and I'm not going to bore you with a lot of that. I thought Jonathan Turley, who, as he always does, sort of summed it up pretty well.
I thought the real haymaker of the argument was delivered by Chief Justice John Roberts, who was openly mocking of the D.C. Circuit, which had this awful standard where they said, well, a president can be prosecuted effectively when he's prosecuted. That is, they had this line that suggested that the fact of prosecution meant that the acts could be prosecuted. And Chief Justice Roberts legitimately said, but what type of standard is that? I mean, don't we have to have something more? All of those comments would suggest that there are justices sort of groping in the dark here for a middle road where there might be some immunity for public acts, official acts, but not for private acts.
And that's the question. When is it a private act and when is it a public act? That is the real crux of what this is going about. So if indeed, and I think Jonathan Turley has it right, the High Court is grappling with that question, saying that, yeah, it looks like the presidents do have some immunity. For example, if you were someone as president and you ordered a strike on a terrorist site and you killed a bunch of terrorists, and then somehow after you got out of office, the family of the terrorist then sued you. That's you would be protected because that was an official act. But where does the official act end and the private acts begin? What is the standard for that? It's a sticky question, and it seems to me that they're going to be working very hard to try to come up with that. And what that means is you've got to define in your ruling what is a public act and what is a private act. And what the bottom line is that this ain't going to be a quick turnaround by the Supreme Court. This is a hard legal question. This really goes deep into, what does the Constitution provide and what is presidential immunity? I mean, they're going to have a big fight over this one, which means that's not going to be a snap decision. And what that really means is some of the trials that are pending out there, the ones that are being brought by Jack Smith, for example, probably are not going to be able to be tried anytime soon because that's on hold until we get the answers to this looming question about presidential immunity. So I think that one way or the other, the president may not get all of the immunity that he thinks he thinks he has, but by the other side of it is by having the Supreme Court take up this matter and putting all these other items on hold, it well could be that some of these trials are not going to happen before the election takes place. That's the way it's beginning to look to me. Again, a lot of complex law here, and the answers and the ruling from the High Court, it seems to me, won't be quick. Here's it. The Supreme Court appears open to some presidential immunity. Supreme Court hears Trump's immunity claims. Trump attorney, Supreme Court clash on when a president who ordered a coup could be prosecuted. There were a lot of hypotheticals thrown out. Supreme Court seems open to middle ground on Trump immunity. And then the last story here, Jack Smith's odds of putting Trump on trial this year are sinking. 31 past the hour now.
.331, I'm Mac Maury with your top stories. Right now, 68 degrees in Nashville. A little bit of a breeze right now. Got a chance for showers tomorrow, but the weekend should stay sunny and in the high to mid 80s. Weather forecast, traffic report on the way. Former President Trump in a New York City courtroom hearing more testimony in his hush money trial involving Stormy Daniels. For the first time today, jurors heard the adult film star's name mentioned in court. John Santucci has more.
It took a couple of days, but finally Stormy Daniels has made her appearance, if you will, into the courtroom. What's interesting here is that we've been hearing the presentation from prosecutors building up to this moment. They've been presenting evidence about other catch-and-kill schemes that David Pecker, the former publisher of the National Enquirer, was a part of with Michael Cohen and Donald Trump, all of which to build to this moment of Stormy Daniels.
Here in Tennessee with a crime story, 3 men have been arrested in connection with a child porn investigation. The TBI received a tip and searched 2 homes in Warren County. More than 40 electronic devices were seized for further examination. Gary Alford, aged 40, Jonathan Curtis, 32, and Clifton Johnson, 38, were arrested. All 3 were booked into jail, $50,000 bonds for Alford and Curtis and $75,000 for Johnston. And in Utah, Salt Lake City family got a surprise when their missing cat ended up in California. And turns out it's because the cat became an Amazon shipment. Here's Alex Stone.
Carrie Clark tells her partners at ABC News radio affiliate KSL in Salt Lake City her family's indoor cat named Galena mysteriously disappeared on April 10th. Then last week they got notified Galena had been found inside of an Amazon box with work boots. It turns out, Clark says, when they put the boots into an oversized Amazon box to return them, Galena jumped in and was trapped in that Amazon box for 6 days. An Amazon employee found Galena, who is fine, and cared for her before bringing her to a vet.
And that is the latest news, traffic, and weather on the way. I'm Mac Morey, WTN News.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
King & Associates Insurance in Brentwood has been around for some 25 years as an independent agency. Now, you may not have thought about having an independent agency, but it's a good thing. You know why? Because they can shop around and find the deal that really works best for you. They're not wedded to just one product. They can look at a bunch of different companies, and they can weed out the ones that don't work and give you the best investment and insurance investment dollar you can do, that you get more bang for your buck if you get one that fits your actual need. And then if you call this number, 615-329-8121, you will not reach a call center. You will receive an answer and a happy, cheery hello from an actual human being. I mean, what a thing that is, huh? Multi-policy discounts, they're the king of that. 20, 25, 30, 35%. Huge savings are possible. So why don't you get your royal review with King & Associates Insurance? Just log into tkinginsurance.com. That's tkinginsurance.com. King Insurance & Associates, royal treatment and great rates.
What an absolute mess. Hey, it's Dan Mandison. Look at my closets. Unorganized to say the least. Even my window dormer is a train wreck. Stuff is everywhere. Now, luckily, California Closets is coming to my rescue. My personal design consultant, Vince, stopped by, measured, and is now showing me how to become more space efficient and organized on his 3D CAD system. It is amazing. And soon, my space is going to be organized, and yes, even Bandit approves. California Closets, a local company that can customize the storage in any room of your house. California Closets, what can they do for you? Find them online at californiaclosets.com and reach out for your free in-home consultation.
"38 minutes now past the hour of 3 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. I'm in the mood to, but the news has been so heavy lately, don't you think? And, after a while, doesn't it just sort of drag on you? I thought we'd talk about, take a little time out here in the first hour and talk about some fun stuff. And of course, as you know, we have a reputation here. We are the place you come for because we believe the truth is out there. Yes, we have a UFO story, but this is really, I think, a pretty good one. It has to do with Michelle Reyes, who's a passenger aboard a flight, and she's flying into New York City. And as she's flying, she's, doing what you normally do. You fly past the skyline of New York. Who doesn't take a moment to grab your phone and shoot some pictures out the window of the New York City skyline, right? And so she's doing this, and all of a sudden she sees something blip through the screen. It was on her camera phone for exactly 5 frames, which is about 1/6 of a second. But she knew she saw something, and she went back and slowed it down and froze it. And there is an unidentified aerial phenomenon, to be sure. Wow. And, she caught something, and she wasn't the only one who saw it on the plane. Another person she talked to on the plane also saw it but didn't get it on the phone. And here's how she describes what she saw while they were coming in for a landing in New York.
Realized that I had something like this on the video. The first thing I did was I emailed the FAA to let them know what I saw, and maybe it was a safety hazard. I reached out to them. Unfortunately, I haven't heard back from them. They didn't acknowledge my email. And then I sent it to Enigma Labs and the National UFO Database. I showed it to him first, and he honestly had no idea what it was either. He had no idea. He was just as baffled as I was.
Did you guys settle on the fact that it maybe was a drone? It was going awfully fast to be a drone, but was that the best guess?
He thought it may be a drone, but he didn't think that it should be where it was, that close to the aircraft. So he really didn't have an answer for me. He was just as clueless as I was. He's seen a lot of things, and he couldn't give me an answer, but if he had to guess, he would have said drone. I had posted the video onto my social media, and one of the other moms on the flight, she said that she had noticed it when she was in the air too. So I wasn't the only one who saw it. So it was kind of, a little more nerve-wracking that someone else also saw what I saw.
It kind of looks like, remember the Tic Tac video that we've all seen at one time or another? It said sort of looks like that. So, you say, well, Brian, I wish I could see it. Well, you can, because I have posted a link to this very story, and you can see the video and the freeze frame and the whole 9 yards at yourfarb.com. Go to yourfarb.com, and it's the very first story at the top of the page. And you can click on it, and you will be taken to a story done by Ashley Banfield, who you heard there on News Nation about this, and they play the video out. I tell you, I looked at it, and it number one should not have been in the airspace that close to another airplane, and it was moving fast in the opposite direction of the plane. That's for sure. So anyway, something to look at. Another one of these weird cases. Do you see it?
Yeah. What is that?
I know. It's an odd-looking thing, isn't it? I don't know. Sort of looks like, remember how the Tic Tac was white? But I think that's because we were looking at it on infrared.
Yeah, that's true.
So this is not infrared. So this sort of looks like that. I don't know. Just I thought I'd share it with you because it's another one of those weird things people can't explain. I wonder if she was sitting near the aisle seat, because that's what I always try to sit when I fly south, and I almost always fly Southwest Airlines if I can. I just like Southwest Airlines. I've been flying them since the flight attendants were wearing shorts and looked like Hooter girls. I mean, that's how long I've been flying Southwest Airlines, and they used to. They really did.
I have seen pictures.
Yeah, that's true. It was something. But one way or the other, I've been flying Southwest Airlines since it first started in Texas. And one of the things about Southwest Airlines is they always have open seating. In other words, you get in line, you get a number, and A section, B section, C section loads. But once you get there, it's like open seating, pick a seat. And if you want, like what I call Southwest Airlines first class, which is the exit row, has a little more leg room, then you can upgrade to be at the first front of the line. And be one of the first 10 people to board, and you got a pretty good chance of at least getting an aisle seat, but maybe even getting a bulkhead seat or the exit row. I understand a lot of people don't like the exit row now.
Why is that?
Well, because doors tend to blow off.
Oh, well, there's that.
Ever since that video, nobody wants to sit in the exit row anymore. We didn't really think we were going to have to worry about that door, but now we do, apparently. When you sit in the exit row, they have to ask you questions like, will you, in the event of an emergency, will you help us take the door off and remove the door and help people off the plane? And
you have to be willing and agreeable to that, right?
You have to agree to that. And I always say, I will chunk that door 50 yards if I need to do it. Because if I want to get off this plane, I want that door out of my way. So I always say yes.
Now they probably ask you, will you hold on to this door for the duration of the flight just to be sure it doesn't come off?
If it comes loose, will you just hold on to it? That's right. But anyway, now Southwest is talking about maybe having charge for premium seating. And a lot of airlines do that. And I read a story here that said that of 8 airlines that now charge for premium seating. And sometimes that's, you pay more for, like, if you want an aisle seat, that's apparently desirable. I always like an aisle seat if I can't get the exit row. You pay a little more. Or if you want a bulkhead seat, you pay a little more. And they have some that have just a tiny, some airlines have, seats with just a tiny bit more leg room, and you can pay a little extra for that. I don't know. But Alaska, Allegiant, American, Delta, Frontier, JetBlue, Spirit, and United all together have made $4.2 billion on these extra seating charges. So Southwest is looking at that. They're having a tough time right now. They're thinking we're having to lay people off and close down routes. Maybe we should start charging for premium seating. And make me wonder, will there actually be an actual first class of Southwest? No decisions have been made, but they are looking at it.
I think you're going to see a lot of uproar and backlash from this possible decision. I don't think they're going to do it.
People don't like change.
Nope.
We've been doing this on Southwest for a long time. And, and that's, I like the fact that it's open seating.
That's part of my attraction to Southwest.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons I want to be on Southwest. And the fact that I don't have to pay extra to check a bag.
Well,
there are no bag fees. You get 2 bags and no extra charges for that. So, I mean, and if they change that one, there will be a hue and cry like you have never heard. People will get upset. So, I mean, Southwest Airlines is relooking at these things, and they say no decisions have been made. I saw this story and I thought, wow, this is going to be coming to a backyard near you sometime soon. The emergence of cicadas in South Carolina has caused a disturbance so loud that it prompted uneasy residents to call the police for help. So if you've never been around cicadas, and the cicadas come every 17 years, and so maybe you moved in, I don't know, 12 years ago. You've never experienced cicadas. Well, the sheriff's office says they're getting calls. There's some kind of weird noise in the air that sounds like a siren or a whine or a roar. Yes, that's the sound of cicadas. Oh, there they are. Can hardly wait. They're a little ahead of us right now because it's a little warmer in South Carolina than it would be here. But we're going to have the 17-year brood coming out, and they're saying cicadas by the billions are about to emerge here in Middle Tennessee.
This is definitely a sound of summer to me.
Yeah.
Cicadas, yeah.
Now, in Texas, where I grew up, I don't think we had the 17-year variety. We had the annual variety, and there were always cicadas. I heard them every summer, but there weren't many of them. But there were a few. I mean, you would hear them in the evening making that noise.
Yep.
Cicadas are a superfamily of insects that appear each spring, but some have lived underground for 13 to 17 years, and they're having a big emergence as we speak. You know, sometimes when you play that sound, I can't hear it.
Really?
Because I have basically what they call it, tinnitus or tinnitus. I don't know. I never knew which one was the correct pronunciation of that word. Tinnitus is what most people say.
Yeah.
And I have the sound of cicadas in my head 24/7.
But you can hear this one.
I can hear this one.
Yeah.
But sometimes you play it and I can't hear it at all.
Yeah. So my tinnitus or whatever is a little bit higher pitched than that.
Yeah.
But it's a similar sound, though, now that I think about it.
Yeah. Anyway, it comes from years and years of radio and headphones, and we'll all be, and in fact, it's already sort of that way for me. I have to ask the Cabana wife to repeat a lot. Huh? What? Huh? I can't understand you. What?
Mine is, will you turn that TV up? I can't hear it.
Yeah, no. Mine is, can you turn the TV off so we can talk? Because I can't hear more than one thing at a time. Yeah. All right. Nashville's Paseo South Gulch gets its newest tenant, and I'm excited about this because I'm a big fan of this store. This is probably more personally interesting to me, but it's been a sort of a place that musicians go here in Nashville. Carter's Vintage Guitars. They house, and I'm telling you, talk about vintage guitars. They've got all kinds of guitars, old guitars, very valuable guitars, all kinds of instruments. They just opened up a brand new place in the Gulch, and they closed down the other one. And by the way, it's true. You never know when you walk into the Carters who's going to be sitting on a bench playing a guitar. You never know. A lot of people go there. One day it's Post Malone, or another it's Keith Urban or Marcus King, looking to peruse the massive selection of new and vintage guitars. If they got it. It was Walter Carter was the founder of Carter Vintage Guitars, but they have moved and now they're down in the Gulch. They're no longer next to that. What was that famous Meat and Three? I forget the name of it.
Arnold's.
Yeah, it's right next door to Arnold's.
Yeah,
and I loved it because I would go to Arnold's and have lunch, and then when I got through with lunch, I'd go over to Carter's.
While you digested.
Yeah, and never buy. You should never go shopping for guitars on a full stomach. I don't know why, but I always ended up buying something. I think the two are connected. They had to move 2,000 guitars. Wow, that's a lot. So there you go. Carter's, it's open in the Gulf. They call it Nashville's Paseo South Gulch Development, and it now has a new home. And a lot of people, I guarantee for years, they won't get this news. They'll show up at the old location. Oh, what? You moved?
Did they close down? Oh,
I think Carter's and Groon's are, Old Man Groon still got a great shop. My two favorite guitar stores here for sure. 51 minutes now past the hour of 3 o'clock on Super Talk. If you're in the market for a pole barn, you need to talk to the brothers that run Stoltz Co. They will help you out. They'll fix you up. Exceptional quality, craftsmanship, and fair prices. They can help you build your new pole barn to your specifications with your needs in mind, and that is the Stoltz Co. different. Now, here's the thing about pole barns. They can be used for all kinds of things. Maybe you need something for your cars. Maybe you need something, as a tool barn or workshop kind of thing. Maybe you need something for your horses. Maybe you need a pole barn that you're going to use to live in. That's called a barn dominium, and they do those as well. And whatever you need, they can do it. They combine the classic post-frame barn look with the reliabilities of modern materials and techniques to give you a finished barn that will stand the test of time. They don't scrimp on quality. They don't cut corners. They believe their customer deserve only the very best. So go to their website, stoltzco.com. Take a look. That's STOLTZCO.com, stoltzco.com. Take a look at what they've done for other people, and then I'm pretty sure you're going to want to talk and say, give me some of that. 615-622-5992. Stoltzco, where quality workmanship and great customer service is affordable. Learn more at stoltzco.com. That's stoltzco.com.
I started working in the early 60s, and Tennessee had a deer stalking program already in place going, primarily from Clarksville Base within the Fort Campbell area. From that area, a lot of deer were stalked in Middle and West Tennessee, and then later on, we started taking deer from those areas and stalking other areas. So it was a progression. It moved pretty fast. The deer sometimes were faster than the stalkers were.
I bet that was pretty exciting, trying to trap those deer and move them and know that you're making a huge impact.
Well, we wasn't all that confident.
Oh, really?
Because a lot of the counties had dog problems. They'd be wanting to dog the deer, and it didn't hold up under that kind of pressure. And we had to go back in and restock. And there was a lot of different types of law enforcement work that had to be done.
I hear you.
And the officers did a good job. And we talked to a lot of the judges, and they clamped down pretty hard on somebody poaching deer out there. Back then, we only put out 15 or 20 deer. It was critical. In fact, at that time, it could cost you your truck.
Yeah. It's an amazing success story. You hear folks saying, well, we didn't see a deer when I was a kid, and now you just have to walk out your back door and you got in a subdivision grazing or driving down the interstate highways or whatever, you see a deer just about every day.
Yeah, sometimes I wonder if we're too efficient.
Some folks say back in the good old days, but I don't know. Right now, hunting and fishing is really good.
Harvey Weinstein's sex crimes overturned. Laverne, with a suspect at large, caused some lockdowns in the area this morning. And one Tennessee hospital making a list that you want to be on. Plus, Reggie Bush, a Heisman Trophy winner yet again. Those stories at 4. Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
All right, let's look at the Dow Jones Industrial and all the major indices today. They're in the red. Dow Jones Industrial down 375 points. The S&P 500 down 23. The NASDAQ down about 100 points, a little over 100 points. And what is this all about? Well, it has to do with the GDP number, which the market did not like. For more on that, let's turn now to John Maxon over at Beacon Capital Management. Good afternoon, John.
Hey, good afternoon, Brian. Yeah, you're right. The day started out pretty rough when the GDP report came out. The market was actually down well over 1%. Got back a little bit, but GDP came in 1.6%. That was against an expectation of 2.5%, so a lot slower growth. And additionally to that, there's a inflation component underlying that's watched really closely. That came in at 3.7, which was, again, more than expected. It's the first quarterly increase in almost a year. Fed policymakers are going to meet next week. Widely expected they're going to leave rates unchanged, but they're not going to like that report. And what this does, it makes the all-important inflation report tomorrow, the PCE index. It's going to come out something really closely that everybody's going to be watching.
All right, thank you very much, John. And listen, find out about all the things that John Maxon and the good people at Beacon can do for you by going to their website, askbeaconnow.com. 59 minutes past the hour. As much as you would like it to be the case, there are no pills or spinal creams that can magically open up your spinal disc and take the pressure off the nerves that's causing your back to hurt. You have a couple of choices here. One is surgery. The other is non-invasive spinal decompression. Now, I chose non-surgical spinal decompression for my problems over at the Wellness Institute of Nashville. They have a state-of-the-art facility, the very latest in high-tech equipment, and they offer the latest non-surgical procedures. And because getting better is so important to Dr. Mitchell and Dr. Ashley, they're offering half off spinal decompression treatment and half off the KT knee machine, which is sort of like spinal decompression for the knee. It stretches gently the knee so that the healing therapy can get deep within the knee. And then, if you're a new patient, call this number, 615-246-5009. Identify yourself as a new patient, and you will get for $23 an exam, a consultation, and your first treatment. I'm Brian Wilson, and I put my stamp of approval on the Wellness Institute of Nashville. Call them today, 615-246-5009. Learn more at painisbad.com.
What an absolute mess. Hey, it's Dan Mandison. Look at my closets. Unorganized to say the least. Even my window dormer is a train wreck. Stuff is everywhere. Now, luckily, California Closets is coming to my rescue. My personal design consultant, Vince, stopped by, measured, and is now showing me how to become more space efficient and organized on his 3D CAD system. It is amazing. And soon, my space is going to be organized, and yes, even Bandit approves. California Closets, a local company that can customize the storage in any room of your house. California Closets, what can they do for you? Find them online at californiaclosets.com and reach out for your free in-home consultation.
.401, I'm Mac Morey with your top stories. And man, another gorgeous day here in the mid-state. 68 degrees, mostly sunny. Traffic, complete weather forecast coming up 5 minutes. The decision to overturn Harvey Weinstein's sex crimes conviction in New York does not mean the movie mogul will go free. He must serve a 16-year sentence for rape in California. Brian Clark says prosecutors say they will do whatever they can to retry Weinstein in New York.
The decision overturning Harvey Weinstein's conviction angered sex crimes advocates like actress Ashley Judd.
Together, we are in this struggle for freedom from male entitlement to our bodies.
New York's Court of Appeals ruled the trial judge erroneously allowed testimony about prior uncharged acts. And former NYPD Chief Robert Boyce, an ABC News contributor, said that makes this even more difficult for the victims.
It's about the strategy of the prosecutor. They were credible. They were believable.
Here in Tennessee, the City Hall and the Public Library in Laverne were in a temporary lockdown this morning after a suspect fled a crash on foot. The crash happened on Murfreesboro Road, 73rd Avenue, following a pursuit that started in Smyrna. The suspect, described as a black male wearing a black mask, khaki pants, a green sweatshirt, no shoes. Officials ask that you call 911 if you see any suspicious activity. And staying here in Tennessee, Channel 4 reports that TriStar Centennial Medical Center was named on this year's Fortune Top 100 Hospitals list. The list recognized the highest quality performers and promotes continual improvement in the industry. The hospital said this year's list focused on clinical outcomes, operational efficiency, patient experience, and financial health from an analysis of Medicare data. TriStar Centennial was also named on HealthGrade's America's 250 Best Hospitals. And former University of Southern California star running back Reggie Bush celebrating the return of his Heisman Trophy, which was forfeited in 2010 over NCAA allegations that he received improper benefits and gifts while playing. The Heisman Foundation decided to return the trophy, saying the college football landscape has changed. Here's Alex Stone.
Holding his Heisman Trophy that he gave up 14 years ago, Reggie Bush said this was the first time his young children had seen it in person and that they thought it was so big and heavy. Bush said he knew this moment would come because he never cheated and he worked hard to be the best player he could be in 2005.
I know the truth is on my side. And when you got the truth on your side, that's all you need.
Now his attorneys are putting their focus on the NCAA, demanding it give back USC's 2004 championship, which it took away.
And that is the latest news, traffic, and weather on the way. I'm Mac Morey, WTN News.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Matt Murphy for Members Nutrition. I want to tell you about the Members Nutrition difference, and I want to encourage you to go over to the Members Nutrition website. Number one, they believe at Members Nutrition that they can sell vitamins and supplements at a lower cost point, and they're doing it every single day at membersnutrition.com. Number two, they want to make these products right here in the United States of America, not from some overseas company, and they do that every single day. I encourage you to go to membersnutrition.com. You'll get 50% off your purchase price at checkout. You don't have to put in any codes. Just go to membersnutrition.com. Once again, membersnutrition.com.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Brian Wilson, your friend and radio buddy, and this is hour number 2 of The Drive for Thursday, April 25th. It is a gorgeous day outside. What are we doing inside? I mean, come on. We should get out. Get out there among all that beautiful weather. It's just beautiful. It is so beautiful that stupid robin is back pecking on my window again.
Just open the window and let him in. He's like, come on
Somebody
in,
said,
man.
said print a picture of a snake and put it on the window.
Yeah, a snake or an owl or a hawk or a cat, maybe.
Yeah, every so often I hear this rustling sound behind me, and it always catches me off guard because I feel like there's somebody behind me. Who's sneaking up behind me? And it's that bird over there flapping against the. It thinks that the reflection is another bird, and it's been doing it now for about 5 days.
You know, I just had a thought. What you could do is like go down to the dollar store or something and buy a rubber snake.
A rubber snake, and just put it on the tree out there.
Or on the window ledge or something.
Yeah, that's what I'll do.
Yeah.
I'm going to do that tomorrow.
And then set a camera up and film and see what happens.
See what happens. See that bird go, what? All right. Listen, we got to do this right now because it is time for our election 2024 update. And, look, sometimes I give you numbers and it's about where they stand in the polls. Yesterday, for example, we spent a great deal of time talking about the battleground polls, and Trump was leading in 6 out of 7 of them, which, in Pennsylvania, it wasn't by much, and he was not leading in the Michigan poll, but the rest of them, he's looking pretty good. In fact, some of these are so strong for Trump that I expect that they'll probably be changed to non-battleground states, because like North Carolina, if that poll was right, Trump leads by 10. That's well outside the margin of error. That's a thumping right there. So the president, very pleased, and he misspeaks here when he says that he leads in all the polls. He leads in most of the battleground polls, but there was a poll apparently he was asked about this morning in New York as he was visiting a construction site where he talked about he's only apparently 10 points behind in New York, which is an extremely blue state. And he was very pleased with that.
We're very close in New York, I understand, and we're leading in the country by a lot. Poll just came out a little while ago, as you saw yesterday, that we're up in every swing state and up by a lot in every swing state. So I think we're going to do very well, and we're going to make a play for New York. They said, I just heard there was a very good poll came out. Normally, a Democrat will win New York. Biden is the worst president in history. We have a good chance of winning New York, in my opinion, but we're going to give it a shot. So the polls have just come out, and I just got another sample. We're leading every swing state by a lot, and we're leading the nation by a lot. He's the worst president in the history of our country. He makes Jimmy Carter look great. Jimmy Carter is very happy because his presidency was brilliant by comparison. But this is the worst president we've ever had. He's destroying our country. Close the borders. You can do it in one phone call. You can close the borders. Close up the borders, Joe. Our country's going to hell.
And that's that typical right there. That's Donald Trump every day right there. But these polls that I'm going to share with you are not so much about where the race stands in this state or that state or the general election polls. These are polls about where people are on the issues. And it's very instructive because the big issues of the day, Donald Trump does much better than does Joe Biden. For example, Breitbart, this is their version of the story. President Joe Biden's approval rating is deep underwater on what Americans rated as their top issues in an Economist YouGov poll. The poll published yesterday asked 1,651 U.S. adult respondents to pick the most important issue for them as we are 7 months away from the election. The top response was inflation, or prices, at 24%, while the second most popular choice was immigration at 14%. Moreover, 97% of all respondents tabbed inflation as important, with 77%, 3/4 of Americans saying it is very important to them. Similarly, 85% consider immigration to be an important issue, including 56% who see it as very important. So on the economy and on the issue of immigration, the two big issues that people care about most, Trump's on the right side. Biden's approval rating on these fronts are more than 30 points underwater. Only 29% approve of his handling of inflation, 62% disapprove of his performance. 49% of those are strongly disapproving. And here, listen to this. This is really telling. This is a good number here. This tells you a lot. The margin is even worse for Biden among independents. Only 17% of independents approve of how Biden has approached inflation versus 72% who disapprove. Remember, I tell you, you have your red voters, you have your blue voters. It's the independents who decide national elections. And when 72% disapprove of your handling of the economy, that is not a good thing. Now let's look at immigration. 29% approve of the way the president is handling immigration, with 61% disapproving of his performance in this department. Independents, 69% of independents give him negative report on how he handles the issue of immigration. I don't know about you. If I'm Donald Trump, I'm very happy with that. If I'm Joe Biden, I'm in a bit of a panic. Here's from Pew Research. I'm gonna scan through a lot of this because a lot of it seems to be sort of repetitive. Where does Trump have the advantage? More than a third of voters say they are extremely or very confident that Trump has the physical fitness and the mental fitness needed to do the job of president. Far fewer say the same of Biden. 15% are at least very confident in his physical fitness. 21% are very confident in his mental fitness. Majority say they are not at all confident in Biden's physical mental fitness. From again another Breitbart story. Only 21% of voters strongly approve of this is just job approval of President Joe Biden. 49% strongly disapprove. This is according to a recent Rasmussen poll. 59% disapproval rating for Biden. Wow. President's approval index is 28 points underwater. In other words, 59% disapprove, 39% approve. And you know who the 39% are, right? And again, this all has to do, I think, largely with the economy, etc. Okay. Here's one. Listen to this. This is redstate.com. Devastating poll for Joe Biden shows shocking shift in views on illegal immigration, even among Democrats. Axios has released a new poll showing American attitudes toward illegal immigration and the question of mass deportations. The results are a disaster for Joe Biden and the Democrat Party. The survey, which was done by Harris, found that a full 42% of Democrats, listen to this, this is important, 42% of Democrats who were polled favor mass deportations as a solution to Biden's self-created border crisis. That is a shocking total. That's right. 42% of Democrats believe we should have mass deportations. We aren't talking about polling questions regarding reform for asylum rules. We're talking about mass deportation. That is the solution most people think is the way to go, even among the Democrats. I'm sure the Republican numbers are way high, and the independent numbers are way high as well. But when you start out with 42% of Democrats basically saying that they think that the thing you're doing is so incredibly wrong that what we need is mass deportations to fix the problem. And again, if I'm Joe Biden, I look at that and I shiver. If I'm Donald Trump, I go, yep, that's right. That's pretty interesting, I think. That, as I mentioned this morning, those soundbite we had from Trump was he went and visited a construction site. And what was interesting is he was very warmly greeted by the hard hat people and the construction people who are working there in New York City. And that is interesting because I think when you look at like New York, you say, well, how is it that he could possibly be doing that well in New York? Well, it's because, among the elite, they're very blue. But among the working people, like the people who are building these buildings in New York and the people who wear hard hats and work boots to work every day, they like the guy. And so it may not be a runaway. Now, again, can you make up that 10 points? I don't know. It'd be a heavy lift to win New York as a Republican. I can't remember the last time that's been done. But it would be interesting to see if they could make a big dent. Again, the popular vote is not the thing that you need to focus on, but it is interesting. And then I mentioned this earlier, and again, I can't even begin to understand why Biden did this. Because the last thing you want to do is give your enemy ammunition. And he did that when he said that he would raise taxes if elected. In other words, basically the Trump tax cuts are set to expire down the pathway. And what Biden said was, you can be darn sure we're going to let them expire if I'm reelected, which means that people for a number of years since Trump got into office, got those tax cuts passed, have been living with lower taxes, across the board, lower taxes. And Joe Biden simply said that I will let those expire and then your taxes will go back up. The tax cuts have to be renewed or they go back to where they were. And when that happens, there are going to be a lot of people pretty angry. So, I mean, it's very clear that you could do the 60-second commercial. You know what I'm talking about? Or a 30-second ad where you do the Bram. I'm going to pull out the Bram. You ready? Joe Biden, he's wrong on inflation. He's wrong on immigration. And if reelected, he says he'll raise your taxes. Okay? That's you can count on that ad.
It's pretty good, yeah.
Yeah. I like the Bram. He's losing his mind.
That's vibrating my mind.
I don't know. I'm telling you, all of these numbers, again, the numbers yesterday, very good from the battleground states. Michigan, according to the Bloomberg battleground poll, he's losing Michigan by 2. But there have been other polls that say it's not that bad. Pennsylvania, he's only leading by 1. He needs to win one of those states, honestly, to get to 270. So how's that going to work? You know, it's hard for him to get into Pennsylvania, hard for him to get into Michigan when he's stuck in a courtroom every day and the judge won't let him go. The only days he's able to get out on the campaign trail are Wednesdays, Saturdays, and Sundays. Until this trial is over, he has to sit in that courtroom because the judge won't let him go. To the point where the Supreme Court was hearing a major case involving Donald Trump's immunity as president, and the judge would not let him go to the Supreme Court hearings. That's just wrong. That's wrong. 20 minutes now past the hour, 4 o'clock. Spring season is upon you. No, I'm not going to. Spring season is upon us now, and now is the time to start thinking about your outdoor lawn equipment. DT McCall's is helping you out with their spring Cub Cadet mower sale. It's going on April 26th. That starts tomorrow at Cookeville. At their Cookeville location, goes through May 4th. So starting tomorrow, you can take advantage of this big sale. Now, you should know that DT McCall & Sons is ranked as one of the top Cub Cadet dealers in the United States. And you can find Cub Cadet riding mowers with 42, 50, 60-inch, 72-inch decks for those large areas, as well as a Cub Cadet walk-behind mower for smaller lots. Listen, I'm telling you, I bought my Cub Cadet mower at DT McCall's, and it is one of my favorite things in the whole world. They work so good, and it's such a remarkable zero-turn mower that I actually look forward to mowing the yard. I really do. You can get the smaller Cub Cadet walk-behind mowers as well. When you purchase a Cub Cadet mower from DT McCall's, you'll be getting access to their in-house service department. Nearly impossible to find mower service like this anywhere else. So with a large selection of Cub Cadet mowers, free delivery, and an in-house service department, it's an easy choice. Again, the sale begins tomorrow at the Cookeville location and will run through May 4th. Be sure you take advantage of it. Big spring Cub Cadet mower sale at DT McCall. Learn more at dtmccall.com.
What an absolute mess. Hey, it's Dan Mandison. Look at my closets. Unorganized to say the least. Even my window dormer is a train wreck. Stuff is everywhere. Now, luckily, California Closets is coming to my rescue. My personal design consultant, Vince, stopped by, measured, and is now showing me how to become more space efficient and organized on his 3D CAD system. It is amazing. And soon, my space is going to be organized, and yes, even Bandit approves. California Closets, a local company that can customize the storage in any room of your house. California Closets, what can they do for you? Find them online at californiaclosets.com and reach out for your free in-home consultation.
The University of Southern California canceling their graduation ceremony. We'll tell you why. Plus today's money news. Those stories, 4:30, Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
It's 25 minutes past the hour of 4 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. Brian Wilson in the chair. There's Mac Morey. He's over there with all your stories, bringing you good stuff. He's also the star and the star attraction of Mac Morey's wide, wacky, weird world of sports, which happens at 5:25. You see, what are we going to be talking about today?
It's the NFL draft, Brian. The Titans have the
All
7th overall pick, so we'll be covering that. It's exciting.
I thought that might be it. All right, so that's going to be coming up at 5:25. Our little momentary foray into the world of sports. And there's Chris Webber. He's got all the blinky buttons over there and making sure that everything goes as planned and keeping me, in line.
As best I can possibly do.
You had to keep me in line earlier.
Don't do that.
I was a bad host. Okay. But anyway, some local news. We told you yesterday that there was this announcement, well, I guess a couple of days ago, big announcement about Oracle setting up the Nashville campus. It's going to be their world headquarters. And it was a big, the guy in charge of Oracle made the announcement during a conversation during a seminar that he was here. Bill Frist was interviewing him, and he said, yes, we're very excited about Nashville. And now we knew they were going to build something here, but we didn't know it's going to end up being the worldwide headquarters of Oracle. But he sort of let that slip, and then he almost immediately regretted it, saying, I probably should have called the governor of Texas to let him know before I made that announcement. And that seems to be really true. Austin city leaders say they had not been told about the plans. City Hall was as surprised as everyone else with the Oracle announcement, said Austin Mayor Kirk Watson. You know, I'm a Texan. Okay, I'm born and raised in Texas, but I really love it when Nashville takes one away from Austin. You know, Austin is, everybody compares the two. Austin and Nashville. And, and so, I'll tell you, a lot of times Austin wins in comparisons, but not this time. See, the problem with Austin is it's weird.
And they want to keep it that way.
Yeah, they have bumper stickers that they wear on their cars that keep Austin weird. And it is weird. But one way or the other, we won this one big time. And the folks in Austin are going, huh? They didn't see it coming. I sort of like that. Now, earlier this week, as you know, it was very immensely controversial. The state legislature passed a bill that would allow some school employees to carry firearms on campus. And I hope by now I don't have to go through all of the explanation. There are like 5 hoops that you have to jump through in order to do this. And the most important thing you need to know is if a local school district doesn't want it, it won't happen because the principal and the superintendent have to be on board. The local law enforcement have to be on board. And this is really designed for rural areas, and probably there won't be, but a handful of people, if that, who take advantage of this law to concealed carry on a school campus. But I was shocked, stunned, and amazed to see this story. These states, this is from WSMV's website, allow school employees to carry firearms on campus. 33 states have teacher carry. 33 states. So this, remember, the Democrats were saying, if you pass this, children will die. Where are the dead children? Because it's in 33 states already. Where are all the dead children? I mean, honestly, it seems like we would have heard something. A student took a weapon away from a teacher, and bad things happen. We don't hear those stories. There are 33 states currently that have teacher carry. There are blue states, red states. There are purple states, etc. Anyone in these states who gets permission from the school authority, which I guess would be the school board or the superintendent, Alaska, Arizona, Connecticut, Georgia, Iowa, Kansas, Kentucky, Louisiana, Massachusetts, Michigan, Minnesota, Montana, New Jersey, Nevada, Ohio, Oregon, South Carolina, Texas, Utah, and Vermont. In these states, all you need to have is a concealed carry license, and you can carry in the classroom. Alabama, Oregon. Can you believe Oregon, one of the most liberal states in the entire United States? Utah, I can see that. If you have a permit, a concealed carry permit and permission, you can carry in Idaho, Indiana, Missouri, and Oklahoma. School employees other than security. A concealed carry permit and permission from the school authority, you can do it in Idaho and Kansas. Permission from a school authority and required training, Florida and South Dakota. Permit permission from school authority and required training, Missouri, Oklahoma, Tennessee, only in qualifying districts now, Texas and Wyoming. At least 9 states, Idaho, Florida, Kansas, Missouri, Oklahoma, South Dakota, Tennessee, Texas, and Wyoming, specifically list school employees as exempt from their ban on firearms on K through 12 school grounds. So, I mean, it's a widely done thing. And when you hear the histrionics about how many people are going to die, well, I would venture to say that that argument just doesn't hold any water. 31 past the hour now. Time for the news.
4:32, I'm Mac Maury with your top story. 68 degrees, a mostly sunny day here on Music Row. Forecast, traffic report just ahead, 5 minutes. Amid protests over Gaza and debate over the valedictorian being allowed to speak, the University of Southern California has decided to cancel its main graduation ceremony. Here's Alex Stone with details.
USC announcing with new safety measures in place, it will no longer be hosting a traditional graduation ceremony next month. Instead, USC saying it will have activities and celebrations to honor commencement. The change coming one day after anti-Israel protesters clashed with police wearing riot gear on campus, and debate has grown over USC's pro-Palestinian valedictorian who was banned from speaking at the graduation ceremony.
And now over to our money news. Daria Albinger walks us through Wall Street.
Stocks tumbled but closed off their session lows. The Dow plunged 375 points. It had been down 706. The S&P fell 23, and the Nasdaq gave up 101. Microsoft reports its latest earnings after the bell, and the numbers beat analysts' expectations. Persistent inflation, high interest rates, and geopolitical concerns are keeping investors jittery. Now, despite the day's dismal numbers, stocks are still on track to close out the week with some gains. The U.S. economy slowed sharply in the last quarter to an annual pace of 1.6%, due mainly to high interest rates, but consumers, the main driver of economic growth, kept spending at a pretty solid pace. The gross domestic product, the total output of goods and services, decelerated from a brisk 3.4% in the last quarter of 2023. Growth also held back by businesses reducing inventories.
And that is the latest news, traffic, and weather on the way. I'm Mac Maury, WTN News.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
You know, the chairman of the Federal Reserve has said we're on an unsustainable fiscal path. We aren't going to pay off that $34 trillion debt anytime soon. And you know what the government will do? They'll just print money to pay interest on the debt and then weaken the U.S. dollar by doing so. Maybe it's time to think about putting some money back and investing in gold and precious metal. Maybe you've thought about adding gold or other precious metals like silver to your portfolio, but you feel like you don't have the knowledge you need to make a smart decision. Now, that's the way I felt. But I got the professional guidance I needed at Nashville Golden Coin. The way it works is you make an appointment, and then you'll sit down one-on-one with my friends at Nashville Golden Coin. They'll answer all your questions and help you make the precious metals investment that is right for you. It's friendly. You'll learn a lot, and you'll never be subjected to high-pressure sales pitches. Gold and silver can be a safe haven in uncertain economic times. And my friends at Nashville Golden Coin are standing by to answer all your questions about the precious metals market. If you have some old coins laying around gathering dust, bring them along. You might be surprised just how much they're worth. So set up that one-on-one appointment. Just go to NashvilleGoldenCoin.com. That's NashvilleGoldenCoin.com.
What an absolute mess. Hey, it's Dan Mandison. Look at my closets. Unorganized to say the least. Even my window dormer is a train wreck. Stuff is everywhere. Now, luckily, California Closets is coming to my rescue. My personal design consultant, Vince, stopped by, measured, and is now showing me how to become more space efficient and organized on his 3D CAD system. It is amazing. And soon, my space is going to be organized, and yes, even Bandit approves. California Closets, a local company that can customize the storage in any room of your house. California Closets, what can they do for you? Find them online at californiaclosets.com and reach out for your free in-home consultation.
All right, this is going to be a little different. 39 minutes now past the hour, 4 o'clock. This week, we have seen a lot of crazy stuff happening down at our state legislature, General Assembly, and there was a lot of vitriol and anger. But, you know, if you've been paying attention, it's been going on for some time now. And a lot of it seems to rotate around the two Justins, but more Justin Jones, perhaps, than the other Justin Pearson. There have been some conflicts. There have been harsh words back and forth. And Phil Williams over at Channel 5 did a long interview with Justin Jones, but also went out and talked to other people about what's going on and why is it so ugly and why is there so much vitriol and anger in the state legislature. Now, his original piece that ran yesterday, about 7 minutes long. It was a good piece, but I can't run all 7 minutes of it. But I have edited it for time, and I want to be fair to say that the stuff I took out involved another legislator. I wanted to focus on this other stuff with William Lambert and Justin Jones and the conflict between them. So here is about 5 of the 7 minutes that Phil Williams put together, and I'm going to maybe stop in and add a little commentary as we go along to help you understand what you would be seeing if you were watching this on television.
Justin Jones, you'll recall, is one of the so-called Tennessee Three. Last week, he got into a shouting match on the floor of the House that reveals a toxic environment where some people on both sides of the aisle now appear to be fed up with the other. You are a racist. If you want to know
what you got going on here is you see Justin Jones in the well of on the floor of the House, and he's pointing his finger at William Lambert and calling him a racist.
Wrong on Tennessee's Capitol Hill. This scene may speak volumes.
Well, all year long, Representative Jones has been verbally berating staff.
The story of what happened here on the floor of the State House between Republican leader William Lambert and Nashville Democrat Justin Jones depends, as I would discover, on which one's telling the story.
This has been a session marked by vitriol and bullying
from a majority of white men who run this Capitol.
Jones had approached the speaker's podium upset that he had not been called upon during debate over the state budget. Everyone agrees that Jones called someone a name.
We'll
It's a derogatory term for someone who's submissive. Multiple sources say Jones was referring to a veteran House attorney who was standing there.
I mean, there is no time that a state representative should look at a multi-decade state employee and call him a do-boy.
Jones's version, he was actually talking about his Republican colleague.
And so my comments were directed to William Lambert, that he knows that. And then
what was it appropriate for you to call him a do-boy?
Was it appropriate? It was honest.
The person slapping her hand to get Jones's attention is Democratic leader Karen Camper. Did you say anything that could be implied as being racist at all?
Absolutely not.
Multiple witnesses say Lambert appeared to have been provoked when Jones continued pointing his finger in his face.
And he said, "I will knock you out." This is what he told me.
He said, "I will knock you out."
He said, "I will knock you out."
Now, hold on a minute, because when you see the video, it is very intimidating because Justin Jones is actually, he's got his finger like right in the face of William Lambert, and he's just pointing at him, and he's yelling at him. So, you know, I don't know that I wouldn't have said something like that. I think I might have also responded that way. But in fairness, we'll let the story continue.
Even Republicans agree Lambert said something along those lines. And the exchange continues, neither seemingly willing to let it go and get back to business.
What did you mean? You are a racist?
Yet even my questions about that incident Jones charged reflected my own biases.
Instead of calling out the acts of racism, it is more offensive to you that I call someone a racist for acting in a racist manner than for them acting racist, and that is wrong.
Still, it was such a shocking scene that I wanted to get another opinion. Do you think that Leader Lambert is a racist?
No, I don't think Leader Lambert's a racist.
Was it appropriate for Representative Jones to call him a racist?
I know. I've never called anyone a racist. I don't do that. It takes the air out of a room.
Representative Sam McKenzie from Knoxville is chair of the legislature's Black Caucus. In the outburst on the House floor, McKenzie sees two stubborn men unwilling to look at the world through each other's eyes.
Their two personalities are really eerily similar, even though they're on opposite sides of most issues that are contentious. But I think that personality likeness is what drove that.
Hot-headed?
Very hot-headed, strong-willed, feel that their issue is right 100% of the time.
As for the scene, yelling at a Republican colleague on the House floor and calling him a racist.
I've been excited about democracy. I've been excited since I got elected to this House.
Jones has also insulted a GOP lawmaker who immigrated to America from India.
That you put a brown face on white supremacy.
He's compared his fellow Republicans to the Klan.
Of the White Sheets Caucus across the aisle.
And suggested they're not much better than neo-Nazis who've marched through Nashville streets.
Some may argue that this is a neo-Nazi rally happening every time we convene in this body.
Is that good trouble or is that just trouble?
To me, it's just trouble.
McKenzie says throwing out the R word so frequently does nothing to change hearts and minds.
It's become a word. It's kind of like woke, and it's become a word that's really, really divisive.
A weapon?
It's a weapon.
I've been called a boy. I've been told that I'm worthless. I've been told that I don't belong here.
Jones portrays himself as the victim of a pervasively racist system, although there's little evidence for some of his more provocative claims. His most bitter clashes. All of this leaves Tennesseans with lawmakers who know how to shout at each other, but with little ability to really listen. And to be clear, as we've reported many times, Republicans have given ammunition to Representative Jones, who, for example, had a bill to honor a civil rights figure, but Republicans insisted on taking out any mention of, quote, oppression. On the other hand, he is also feuding with other members of his own Democratic caucus, both black and white. What they won't say on camera, but will say privately, there are quite a few Democrats who are also fed up with him.
All right, so that's Phil Jones. Now, again, I want to be fair to Phil. There was about another 2 minutes to this piece that I took out for time. But I'm going to tell you, as somebody who's been in the halls of journalism before I got into opinion, I think it was a pretty up-the-middle piece. And Chris, I mean, you were listening very closely. It seemed like to me it was a pretty fair piece.
I would say so, yeah.
But there is more to be said about this because when Phil did his interview with Justin Jones, the Tennessee Holler stood by and recorded the entire thing independently. And there are some sound bites that Justin Jones sort of leveled during this interview, which I think are quite remarkable and have been widely lambasted as not being accurate. So I'm going to play some of those. This is stuff that, I'm not criticizing Phil because you can't put everything that you shoot in a story in the story because that's just not the way it works. You have to, it's remarkable. I'm going to just say this, remarkable that a TV station will give 7 minutes to a story. Most stories run a minute 30, minute 20, minute 40 at best. And so to give this topic 7 minutes is remarkable and good journalism, I think. But here are some of the things that were said that did not make it into Phil's piece. This is, again, Justin Jones.
When John Ray Clemens and Scott Sapicki physically tried to fight on the floor, and I raised the point of objection, Lambert, in fact, made the joke saying, I'm a snowflake, and that was just a passionate conversation when two men had to be pulled apart from each other. And that was normalized in this building. Why is it, Phil, that we continue to normalize the violence of white men, including Lambert?
Well, he's really got it in for Lambert. And Sapicki says, look, we had a spirited conversation. He was on Nashville Morning News, and he said, we had a spirited conversation, and we walked away a few moments later, and everything was fine. Well, that happens on the floor of the state legislature from time to time when you're in a spirited way debating stuff, and it can get hot. It happens on the floor of the House. It happens on the floor of the Senate. It happens on the floor of virtually every legislative body that I've ever covered. And then he made this a statement about Lambert and also attacked Senate Majority Leader Jack Johnson.
And so calling things racist is fact. The definition of racism is using power to systemically oppress and deny rights to people of a subjugated racial class, in this case, black Tennesseans. That is what Lambert has championed in his legislature and all the policies I named. And so by that definition, he is a racist. In fact, the truth be told, that this is the same man who has called me boy as the youngest black lawmaker here, Phil. Boy.
When did he do that?
This was last session. He said, me and Pearson, you boys need to go somewhere. Boys, Phil. When we are adults, duly elected colleagues, to be called a boy in 2023, that's when it was, is wrong. It's wrong. And it is racist. And that's what we deal with every day, Phil. My first week in the legislature, Phil, I was on this elevator. On the elevator, and Glory knows I went straight to Glory's office because I was so shocked. And State Senator Jack Johnson and me were on the elevator. He said, I just want you to know, Jones, that you're worthless and you don't belong here. That was my welcome to this legislature. To be told that someone with my hair that you should cut your hair because it doesn't look professional, when this is me embracing my culture, my indigenous culture as well. That is racist, Phil. It's racist, and it's wrong.
Senator Jack Johnson on Nashville's Morning News said that absolutely did not happen. Now, it's interesting that this allegedly took place in an elevator where there were no other witnesses, but from what I know of Jack Johnson, it seems completely out of character. And again, this representative, a duly elected representative, Justin Jones, seems to find racism in everything. And I thought it was very telling that at the end of Phil's piece, he said, look, a lot of Democrats don't like what's going on. It is difficult to be in the minority in the state legislature when you have supermajorities and they're going to win on anything they want to win on if they stick together, and they do. And very, very little of what the Democrats want becomes law. But that must be frustrating. But that I think that the calling of the using of the word racist for everything is not helpful at all. And again, I think that the thing that should be done is to ignore as much as possible what Justin Jones brings to the table. And it's hard to do when you're being called a racist, when you're having a finger pointed at you, when there are provocative actions that are taking place. But, when you have a supermajority, just use it and let the rest of it fall away. I think people who have watched this piece and have heard this piece have a pretty good sense of what's really going on. It's 52 minutes past the hour of 4 o'clock. If you've been here for a while, you know what a big deal this is. Genesis Diamond Spring Store-Wide Sale is here this weekend. It starts tomorrow, Saturday, and even on Sunday. It's the big one with unbelievable store-wide savings up to 35% off. Rings, earrings, bands, bracelets, pendants, thousands of engagement ring settings, natural and lab-grown diamonds as well. Special pricing across the board, and zero interest financing is available. Now, this is where the staff at Genesis know they can break the rules. Plus, there'll be world-class designers who've flown in with their all-new collections of fashion jewelry from New York and California. This is the stuff you can't find anywhere else, and it will all be on sale. So if you're getting engaged or having any special events coming up, you can't miss this incredible buying opportunity. And Genesis has opened the vault for this with the largest collection of GIA-certified diamonds and lab-grown diamonds, all shapes, all sizes, at prices you never thought were possible. So don't miss the expanded selection and the extreme value pricing. People drive for hours to attend this sale. Friday, starting tomorrow, Saturday, and even open on Sunday. Exclusively at Genesis Diamonds and luxury pre-owned Rolexes in Green Hills and Cool Springs, both locations. See store for detail.
What an absolute mess. Hey, it's Dan Mandison. Look at my closets. Unorganized to say the least. Even my window dormer is a train wreck. Stuff is everywhere. Now, luckily, California Closets is coming to my rescue. My personal design consultant, Vince, stopped by, measured, and is now showing me how to become more space efficient and organized on his 3D CAD system. It is amazing. And soon, my space is going to be organized, and yes, even Bandit approves. California Closets, a local company that can customize the storage in any room of your house. California Closets, what can they do for you? Find them online at californiaclosets.com and reach out for your free in-home consultation.
5 o'clock, I'm Mac Maury with your top stories. Currently 68 degrees, a mostly sunny day here in Music City. Traffic, complete weather forecast headed your way 5 minutes. The latest from the hush money Donald Trump trial, Mark Remillard reporting.
Jurors in the criminal hush money trial of former President Trump continue to hear testimony from David Pecker, the former publisher of the National Enquirer. After 3 days of examination by prosecutors, Donald Trump's attorneys began cross-examining him today. While Pecker says he never caught and killed a negative story about Trump until 2016, Pecker acknowledged that he's been giving Trump a heads up about negative stories for years before that. ABC's Olivia Rubin has been in the courtroom.
Something that's so fascinating is when the jurors come in and out of the room all day, they're walked directly in front of Donald Trump, basically just inches away from them. And something that's so fascinating is that as they're right there, they're essentially avoiding eye contact with him. When they get up close to them, I noticed that a bunch of them would look down at the floor and look away. So just some really interesting courtroom dynamics underway in there.
Court adjourned for the day just a short time ago.
Back here in Tennessee right now, a 23-year-old man facing charges after medical professionals discovered he was with an underage girl with whom he also shared a 2-year-old child with. It was on Tuesday at Vanderbilt Children's Medical Center when a 15-year-old girl and this man arrived for a medical issue. The girl admitted to officers that she initially lied to her boyfriend, Selvin Eldelso Popmac, about her age, and he believed her to be 19 years old. Officers arrested Popmac after he confirmed to them that he lived with the girl and he was aware of her age. He's charged with statutory rape and rape of a child. And it's definite Russia will not participate in any way in the Swiss summit on Ukraine this summer. Here's more from Tom Rivers.
Moscow will not have any representation in any format at the conference to be held in June. Simply, Russia will not participate in any events based on what's being called the Ukrainian formula. Moscow's ambassador to Switzerland tells the RIA Novosti news service the gathering will turn into a noisy but empty PR event.
And in Tennessee, lawmakers have decided to move on from banning reparations for slave descendants, at least for this year. It came at a time when they were preparing to remove every board member of the state's only publicly funded historically black public university, Tennessee State. Fox 17 says nearly 30 Republicans joined Democrats in tabling the bill with Speaker Cameron Sexton, leaving open the possibility it can be brought up at another time. Lawmakers really started focusing on the ban after Shelby County, which encompasses Memphis, announced it would spend $5 million to study reparations. That is the latest news, traffic, and weather on the way. I'm Mac Maury, WTN News.
What an absolute mess. Hey, it's Dan Mandison. Look at my closets. Unorganized to say the least. Even my window dormer is a train wreck. Stuff is everywhere. Now, luckily, California Closets is coming to my rescue. My personal design consultant, Vince, stopped by, measured, and is now showing me how to become more space efficient and organized on his 3D CAD system. It is amazing. And soon, my space is going to be organized, and yes, even Bandit approves. California Closets, a local company that can customize the storage in any room of your house. California Closets, what can they do for you? Find them online at californiaclosets.com and reach out for your free in-home consultation.
Good afternoon, everybody. It is 6 minutes past the hour of 5 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7, 73 degrees outside. Beautiful day. Oh, man, just perfection. The weather doesn't get any better than this. So I hope that you're getting home safely without too many delays, and just pay attention to the traffic and sit back. And while you're driving home, we'll try to drive home a few salient points and maybe in the process drive the liberals just a little. I keep forgetting to wait for the ding now. We had this conversation. We had this conversation, and I talked right over the ding. I'm not supposed to do that. People have said they missed the ding. And it's not that it's not there. It's just that I'm always talking over it.
Well, we got one more chance, but you'll have to wait an hour.
No, we're not going to go backwards. Never look back. What's behind you is not important.
What's done is done.
That's done. That sounds like something your mama said to you, right?
Well, my mama said a lot of things to me, but I probably wasn't listening to most of it, unfortunately.
Well, the one thing my mama always used to say is I'd get to, thinking or worrying about something. She'd go, don't go looking for trouble. Trouble will find you on its own. Just deal with it as it comes. And that's some of the best advice my mama ever gave me.
Trouble found me a lot, it seems.
Yeah, well, I've heard that about you. The former president of the United States had a case before the high court today, the highest court in the land, the Supreme Court. This is actually normally yesterday would have been the last day for the high court to hear arguments. But they extended and put this tactus on to the very end of their time that they hear cases. The court's term doesn't end until all of the opinions are released, and that will happen between now and June. But the high court extended by one day their willingness to hear additional cases, and this is a big one because it has to do with presidential immunity. Now, the Trump people are making the argument that a president has extremely wide venue for immunity, and that virtually nothing that a president does while in office can be considered illegal. And now, I'm not sure that the high court is going to go along with that view, but it did seem that the high court understands that there is a need for presidential immunity. Let's say, for example, you are president of the United States, and you order a strike on a terrorist site, and a number of people are killed. It would not seem right, because that's an official action, a national security action. That's an official action by the president to make that decision. Wouldn't be right then, once you got out of office, to be able to be sued for it. Everybody sort of agrees on that level. But on the other hand, how much immunity do you have, and where do you draw the line between immunity for public actions and then those actions that are considered private actions, and how do you define that each? It's a very sticky wicket, as they say. I mean, it is an incredibly difficult question that the high court has taken on here. And so what I want to leave you with is the thought that they're not going to get an answer anytime soon. What does that do? Well, there are cases out there. Jack Smith has cases pending. He says, I'm not going to go forward with these cases until this question of presidential immunity is answered by the high court. And he wanted to have this hearing some time ago, and the high court said, no, we're not going to do expedited. We want to give the former president a chance to put together his arguments. And so they stuck him at the very end of the part of the year where they hear cases. Last day to hear cases is today. And this was the last one. I don't imagine they're going to, this may be one of the last decisions to come out of the high court. I don't think they're going to do a quick turnaround here, because I think it's such a difficult legal question. So Jack Smith may not be able, regardless of what the decision is from the high court, Jack Smith may not be able to bring his cases in time for the election, before the election. It seems like it's being pushed back further and further and further. Here's from the Wall Street Journal. Excuse me. Supreme Court hears Trump's immunity claims. Justices consider whether former president can be prosecuted on charges he conspired to steal the 2020 election. Donald Trump's last-ditch bid to avoid a trial on charges he attempted to steal the 2020 election from President Biden came Thursday to the Supreme Court, where the justices confronted Trump's novel claim that the Constitution forbids prosecuting former presidents for crimes that they allegedly committed while in office. My question is whether the very robust form of immunity that you're advocating is really necessary, said Justice Samuel Alito. But the High Court also asked tough questions of prosecutors and voiced concern about the sweep of lower court rulings that had broadly rejected all of Trump's claims. Oral arguments were ongoing late Thursday morning. The Supreme Court gave Trump the time and space to make his best case. The court had turned down requests from special counsel Jack Smith to hear the matter sooner. To accommodate Trump's appeal, the court extended his calendar by a day, making this Thursday, today, the final argument of the current term. Some have suggested the court's deliberate pace could help Trump regardless of the case's ultimate outcome by adding weeks or months of delay that could push off trial proceedings potentially past November's election, when Trump hopes to reclaim control of the federal government, and that could kill the prosecution. The court's defenders countered that the country wouldn't be served by hasty disposition of a major constitutional dispute. And it is. It is a major constitutional question that the justices need time to resolve a case to leave much to leave much of a polarized nation dissatisfied. Here's what I would say. I think Jonathan Turley has it right. This was his analysis after hearing the court's arguments.
I thought the real haymaker of the argument was delivered by Chief Justice John Roberts, who was openly mocking of the D.C. Circuit, which had this awful standard where they said, well, a president can be prosecuted effectively when he's prosecuted. That is, they had this line that suggested that the fact of prosecution meant that the acts could be prosecuted. And Chief Justice Roberts legitimately said, but what type of standard is that? I mean, don't we have to have something more? All of those comments would suggest that there are justices sort of groping in the dark here for a middle road, where there might be some immunity for public acts, official acts, but not for private acts.
All right, so how do you determine what's a public act and what's a private act? That means that the High Court is going to have to set out definitions for both. Legal definitions that will become the standard going forward. This is big stuff. Presidents going forward will have to live by the ruling of this High Court with regard to what is a public act and what is a private act. And how that is going to be defined I think it's going to be an incredibly difficult thing for the High Court to wrestle with. So I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon. I don't think they're going to do a quick turnaround on a decision. I think they've got some real heavy lifting to try to figure this out and get it right. And that is going to take some time. That's an advantage for the president one way or the other. You can't rush something of this magnitude that's going to have repercussions for decades and decades and decades and decades to come. You have to get it right as the Supreme Court. Now, we have a 6-3 conservative court. I think if the liberals on the court had their way, their standard for what is a public act would be rather low. I think the conservatives are more willing to have a higher standard for what is a public act and have a larger range of things that would fall into that category. But how they define this and how they work through this, I can't imagine how difficult this one is going to be to try to make that determination. So the long story short here, I don't think that this probably will be the last thing that comes out at the last day of the current court's term. And I'm really interested to see how the High Court wrestles with this particular problem. From the Washington Examiner, the Supreme Court on Thursday appeared to open to a middle ground approach to a bid by former President Donald Trump to invoke presidential immunity to shake off his criminal charges. The 9 justices asked Trump's attorney, D. John Sauer, pointed questions about whether the president had absolute immunity from prosecution as they weighed Trump's argument that he was protected under the Constitution for being charged for his actions after the 2020 election. Arguing on behalf of special counsel Jack Smith was veteran litigant Michael Dreeben. Trump contends former presidents should have immunity from charges over actions they took in office and has said that Congress must secure a conviction during the impeachment process in order for any former president to face criminal charges for the same underlying conduct in a court of law. You know, they did not impeach him. They impeached him, and they just didn't convict him. You have to have a conviction, he says. So far, the two lower federal courts have disagreed with that legal argument. But I think the lower court rulings on this have been quite wrong and coming out of the very liberal D.C. court. The Supreme Court justices ultimately appeared mixed on the outcome. They clearly did not want to dismiss the case against Trump outright based on his sweeping theory of presidential immunity, but several justices appeared skeptical of how the special counsel had framed the case. Sauer, who argued on behalf of Trump in lower court earlier this year, told the 9 justices that the official stuff has to be expunged completely from the indictment before the case can go forward, referring to his belief that some alleged actions in the indictment fell under the official acts of the presidency. Sauer appeared to be dialing back some of what the former president's team had tried to argue in court before. Much of the argument surrounded whether Trump engaged in private conduct to allegedly subvert an election, which would not be protected, versus official acts that would carry with them protection from prosecution. So I don't know how it's going to get worked out, but here's the thing. If he can't begin the trial in time to get a conviction before the election happens, if Trump wins the election, it's game over. It's absolutely game over, because he will be then the president-elect, and then he'll be sworn in on January 20th as the new president, and you can't prosecute a sitting president. So time is on Trump's side, but boy, is this going to be an interesting case. Here's another take on it from The Hill. Supreme Court appears open for some presidential immunity for Trump, risking delays. Justices on the Supreme Court voiced skepticism Thursday to assertions from former President Trump's attorney that presidential immunity could extend to an attempted coup or the assassination of a political rival. You're going to hear a lot about that. There was a hypothetical proposed. What if he committed the assassination against a political rival? And they bandied that around for a little while. But again, you're looking for extreme hypotheticals to find out where the law lies. Such a ruling could create a new cycle of legal battles that in turn could delay Trump's federal election subversion trial and his other trials past the election. Chief Justice John Roberts asked whether a president could be prosecuted for accepting a bribe for appointing someone to an ambassador post, while liberal Justice Elena Kagan asked whether a president selling nuclear secrets would have immunity. Federal liberal Justice Sonia Sotomayor asked if fundamentally evil actions, such as ordering the military to take out a political rival, would be protected. So it went all over the place. We'll watch, but this one is going to be a very interesting case from the high court, and that will have repercussions and reverberate across the decades. It's 20 minutes now past the hour of 5 o'clock. Grace Point Healthcare is the affordable standard for comprehensive, convenient medicine. How will, as a direct pay provider, your health care is delivered without the red tape of an insurer's guidelines? Smart Care plans make it even more affordable. They're great. Think about this. Could save you a lot of money. Starting at $69 a month, you get free office visits and basic labs for an entire year. No matter how many times you go, it'll be free. And the basic labs once a year. Grace Point identifies and treats the root cause of the condition, not just the symptoms, utilizing a comprehensive and yet functional approach. And by usually seeing you the same or the next day, you're treated at your convenience. I mean, honestly, that may be the best thing. I mean, how difficult is it to get in to see a doctor these days? You know how tough it is. You can't just get an appointment. Well, at Grace Point Healthcare, affordable, comprehensive, and convenient medicine is delivered the old-fashioned way. Their office is on Main Street in Franklin. Here's the number, 615-599-6868. It's 599-6868 to set up an appointment.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
We're a weekend now in the Donald Trump hush money trial, a child pornography investigation here in Tennessee, and more news on pro-Palestinian protests around college campuses in the nation. Those stories, 5:30, Super Talk, 99.7 WTN.
Spanning the globe to bring you the constant variety of sport, the thrill of victory, and the agony of defeat.
That's right, it's time for Mac Morey's wide, wild, wacky, weird world of sports. And now, here without further ado, because we got a lot of stuff to cover, here's your friend, your buddy, Mac Morey.
Woo! Yes, and today, a big day in sports. It's a big day for fans. It's a big day for players, hopeful prospects trying to become pros. And, of course, above all, it's a big day for general managers and pro scouts and front offices because their jobs hinge upon today's performance and what happens today. The results
Absolutely, big day.
Big day. And the Tennessee Titans hold a pick in the top 10 in what has been touted as one of the most, star-studded classes at the top of the draft. They hold pick number 7. So let's just kind of go through this. So we've now covered this ad nauseum. If you're in the sports world, you've heard everything about the draft. But for a lot of our listeners here, you don't know what maybe the Titans are thinking about doing here tonight. Well, the biggest thing that's been favored over these last few months is taking left tackle out of Notre Dame, 6'8", 6'9", 330-pound Joe Alt. He has been touted as the best tackle in what's going to be a tackle-heavy class, an offensive line-heavy class here in the first round. I believe the record's 9 offensive linemen taken in the first round for a draft in history. The over-under set at like 8.5. I mean, it could break. We could hit 10, 11 offensive linemen taken in the first round. 7 or 8 of those would be tackles specifically.
Wow.
And Joe Alt, so a lot of big boys you could see tonight. And Joe Alt could be the first big boy taken here because another historic, unprecedented thing in the draft that could happen tonight is 1, 2, 3, and 4 could be quarterbacks. We've never had the first 4 picks in a row be quarterbacks. There's a chance of that happening here tonight.
Wow.
So let's just kind of go through what's favored to happen tonight, okay? So Chicago, they're taking Caleb Williams. That's the one thing that is surefire in this draft tonight.
Yep.
The second most surefire thing is, honestly, the Titans taking Joe Alt. It's just a less 100% because they're pick number 7. They're relying on what other people are doing. So
that's where they'll go if it's still available.
If it's still available, I would be shell-shocked if they didn't pick up Joe Alt. So Caleb Williams. Then you've got Washington and New England. This has been a huge debate for the last couple months. Who's taken it at number 2? What quarterback's going? It's either Jaden Daniels out of LSU or Drake May out of North Carolina. You know, the dynamic, run on his feet, super athletic quarterback in Daniels, or the stand pocket passer, 6'4", 240-pound, rocket of an arm, Drake May. Completely different prospects. They're going to go number 2 and number 3, though. We just don't know the order. We still don't know what Washington's going to do at number 2. They had a whole visit with all 4 quarterbacks. They played Top Golf last week, a super weird, unique thing that they did as a franchise. We don't know. So number 2 and number 3, let's just say it's Daniels, then Drake May. And then Arizona, they're probably going to take Marvin Harrison, the best wide receiver in this class. This is when it gets interesting. This is when the Titans could run into some trouble here. The Cardinals could trade, so that could be the trouble there at 4, but I think they'll keep their pick. The trouble here, number 5, the Chargers. They just got a new coach from Michigan. Not new to us. We know his name very well. Jim Harbaugh, now the coach of the Chargers. This guy loves to run the ball, ground and pound, old school, and he's trying to establish that with an offensive line. A lot of people think he likes right tackle J.C. Latham, but what if he likes Joe Alt at the left? They already have a great left tackle, but Joe Alt is good enough to where he could slide over to the right side. And if he takes that, now we don't know what the Titans could do.
Yeah. How difficult would it be to make that switch, though?
Very hard. Very hard, for sure. Now, only the most talented guys can do that. Think about doing one thing and then doing that same thing, but completely opposite, completely inverse.
I mean, if you've been doing it all your high school and college career, and you know it's muscle memory. That's
exactly.
A lot of what it is.
And
now all of a sudden you got to completely rethink doing it from the other direction. I think that would be really, really hard.
At the hardest level, too. And it's like, well, he is the best at the left side. You'd kind of be feeling like you'd be minimizing his talents and potential. So who knows what the Chargers will do?
Do you buy into the fact that the left tackle is really sort of like next to the quarterback, maybe the most important pick that you have? A lot of people think it's just as important as your quarterback is who's at left tackle.
I don't think it's as important as it used to be, but I think tackles in general, you need them. Yes, absolutely. They're in the Mount Rushmore. If you don't want to say they're number 2, they're 3 or 4. You've got to have, especially that left side, that blind side, protected. So
just look at the Titans over the last few years.
Exactly.
They have not had that.
Exactly. They need that.
Results. Yeah.
They need that. It's imperative that they get that right now. So we'll see. They got the center in free agency and Lloyd Cushenberry. They drafted a great left guard in Skoronski. If Joe Alt falls to them, they could have a left side of the line that could be up there in the top 5 in the National Football League. So let's get this straight and let's protect Will Levis, right?
Yep, let's do it. Yeah, absolutely. And I do believe that if you can give Levis time in the pocket, that he will be formidable.
We know he's got the talent. We saw it last year. He can make the throws.
Yep.
He just didn't have
give him some time.
You got to listen. I've come down to an understanding that the success of a quarterback really comes down to one real dynamic. How much time does he have in the pocket? Because the more time you have in the pocket, the better decisions you make, and the better your decisions are going to be. Most quarterbacks can deliver the ball, but you've got to have time to make that decision. And
we'll have quarterbacks, I was saying, taken very, very early on, and in a couple of years we'll be looking back, oh man, that guy was a bust. And then you look into it, Brian, you go, wait, he had no offensive line, his head coach was terrible, this quarterback, it's all these things. Yeah. It's so much about situation. We want to make the situation the best possible for Will Levis.
All right, we'll leave it there, and good luck in the draft, guys. 31 minutes now past the hour.
5:31, I'm Mac Morey with your top story. 68 degrees in Music City. Latest traffic report, weather forecast, 5 minutes. Day 7 of the criminal hush money trial of former President Trump has wrapped up. Mark Remillard with more from New York.
Jurors continuing to hear from former National Enquirer publisher David Pecker, who further described efforts he says were in coordination with Trump and Trump's former attorney Michael Cohen to catch and kill damaging stories about Trump in 2016. And he says he believes it was to protect Trump's campaign. Trump's attorneys began their cross-examination of Pecker late Thursday, during which Pecker acknowledged that he had a long-running relationship of notifying Trump about negative publicity and claimed to have caught and killed stories for other celebrities and politicians.
In crime in Tennessee, 3 men have been arrested in connection with a child pornography investigation. The TBI received a tip and searched 2 homes in Warren County. More than 40 electronic devices were seized for further examination. Gary Alford, aged 40, Jonathan Curtis, 32, and Clifton Johnson, 38, were arrested. All 3 booked into jail. $50,000 bonds handed down to Alford and Curtis, $75,000 for Johnston. And pro-Palestinian protests on college campuses across the country continue to grow. In Illinois today, students at Northwestern University joined the national demonstration. Phil Lepoff explains.
Dozens of students have set up tent encampment there and are calling it a free Gaza liberated zone. The problem is none of these encampments are actually seen as liberated space by any of the school administrations that they are happening at. Northwestern says the tents are a violation of school policy, and when police moved in to take them down, protesters linked their arms and tried to keep folks away from them.
And that is the latest news. Traffic and weather on the way. I'm Mac Morey, WTN News.
What an absolute mess. Hey, it's Dan Mandison. Look at my closets. Unorganized to say the least. Even my window dormer is a train wreck. Stuff is everywhere. Now, luckily, California Closets is coming to my rescue. My personal design consultant, Vince, stopped by, measured, and is now showing me how to become more space efficient and organized on his 3D CAD system. It is amazing. And soon, my space is going to be organized, and yes, even Bandit approves. California Closets, a local company that can customize the storage in any room of your house. California Closets, what can they do for you? Find them online at californiaclosets.com and reach out for your free in-home consultation.
Let me tell you about the folks over at Busy Bee HVAC and Plumbing. This is the time of year, man. I'm telling you, you are working out your HVAC system. At night, it's cool. You got to have some heat. During the day, like today, up in the 70s, you may need a little air conditioner. You need a little bit of both. And if one side or the other is not working, you got problems, why don't you call the number I call, 615-775-7833, and the folks at Busy Bee will buzz right over to your hive, and they will fix whatever is ailing your system. They get you up and running in good order. Now, listen, to make sure that your systems are always working at peak efficiency, you need to do preventative maintenance, and that's just the way it works. And that's what the Beehive Club is all about. Starts for as little as $99. And for that, you get 3 thorough maintenance services on your system, one that begins at the beginning of heating, one that's aimed at cooling season, one that's aimed at plumbing, no overtime charges 24/7, and 10% off all repairs. So Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling is your official Rude Pro partner. For satisfaction guaranteed, call Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling, 615-775-7833 online at busybeehvac.com.
What an absolute mess. Hey, it's Dan Mandison. Look at my closets. Unorganized to say the least. Even my window dormer is a train wreck. Stuff is everywhere. Now, luckily, California Closets is coming to my rescue. My personal design consultant, Vince, stopped by, measured, and is now showing me how to become more space efficient and organized on his 3D CAD system. It is amazing. And soon, my space is going to be organized, and yes, even Bandit approves. California Closets, a local company that can customize the storage in any room of your house. California Closets, what can they do for you? Find them online at californiaclosets.com and reach out for your free in-home consultation.
It is 39 minutes now past the hour of 5 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. I am Brian Wilson. I am your friend and radio buddy, and you're listening to The Drive. And, man, I'm telling you, this is the day you just want to get home and just take advantage of this lovely weather. I mean, just think about it. You could get home and pull weeds in the flower bed.
Oh, boy. Let me hurry up. Let me rush home.
You know what the Cabana wife and I did this morning? We and I think this is a real test of a marriage. Truth of the matter, it really is. How you work together in building something that comes in many, many parts.
Oh boy, aren't you correct?
Yeah.
Yep.
For Christmas she wanted a pizza oven.
Yep.
And I thought, well, that's cool because I get pizza. I'm all about that, so I bought her a pizza oven. It's an outdoor thing, and that sucker makes the best pizza. I mean, it gets so hot, like 500 degrees, and then you stick your pizza in there. Boy, you got to be quick about it because if you don't, you burn the pizza. But I mean, boy, if you get it right, it's so good and it's so quick and it's so fast. And so I love pizza, so I thought this is a great thing.
Yeah.
But then we decided, we need a pizza cart. And the cart came a couple of days ago, and it's been sitting in the hallway in the big box. And we decided, we got to get that thing built. So this morning was all about putting together a pizza cart that had about 500 individual pieces to it.
Yeah.
And it turned, we got it done in about an hour and a half. It was pretty good. Not bad, I thought, I'm usually pretty good at that stuff, but, when you work together, sometimes it's good, and sometimes it's a struggle.
Yeah, been there.
We got through it just fine today.
Minimal yelling, huh?
No, there was no yelling. No.
Okay.
Not at all. Not at all. No. I mean, there was a couple times we went, well, we screwed that up, didn't we? We have to go back and take that apart and put this piece over there. And, trying to nothing comes with good instructions anymore.
Yeah, most of them just have pictures now.
Yeah. And you're just left, okay, where is part, and no kidding, where's part 37?
Yeah.
And so, literally there were about 50 pieces to this thing laid out in the living room. And I'm sitting over there on a stool, hand me part number 37, now number 38.
Mm-hmm.
I need a B screw and a C wing nut. It's like, boy, I'm telling you what.
Do you have any leftover pieces?
Well, there was one we decided it was a sort of a rack that you attack to the outside. We decided we didn't want that.
Oh, so it was optional.
It was optional.
Okay.
I mean, they don't think it's optional, but we decided it was optional.
Structurally, it's okay, though.
Yeah, structurally, it's very strong.
Right,
and it's already out in the backyard, and I think maybe we might have pizza tonight.
Yeah.
I'm hoping. All right, where was I? That was a long trip down memory lane from early this morning. Let's talk about the economy, if we could, because there was some really troubling news today about the economy and about where our nation is headed when it comes to, perhaps the biggest number that you get with regard to the economy and the health of the economy is gross domestic product, GDP. And the GDP tells you how fast the economy is growing or not growing. And with so much at stake right now for Joe Biden, he's really hoping that he can have a couple of interest rate cuts before the elections. I don't think that's the way it's looking right now. That doesn't seem like it's going to come together for him because inflation has been sticky. There's nothing worse. Inflation's bad. Sticky inflation. I mean, come on. You got to keep washing your hands all the time to get the sticky off. It just won't go away. And it's sticking around, and it doesn't seem to be coming down the way they hoped it would. And then when you get this number about the gross domestic GDP, gross domestic product, it's not good. So here we go. The latest snapshot of the U.S. economy rattled stock and bond markets with two bits of potentially disappointing data: slower economic growth and still firm inflation. Gross domestic product expanded at a 1.6% seasonally, and inflation-adjusted annual rate for the first quarter, the Commerce Department said. A pullback from last year's quick pace that lagged behind the 2.4% projected by economists polled by the Wall Street Journal. Here's how Fox Business reported it when it first came out this morning.
At first quarter GDP, the annual rate 1.6% between January and March. The expectation was 2.4%. This is a much lower than anticipated number. As a refresher, the final 3 months of last year, growth was 3.4%. So we're going from 3.4% all the way down to 1.6%. The consumer is slowing down. Inflation remains high.
Okay, so what does that mean? All right. What was the reaction to the markets? Well, the Dow Jones Industrial down 375 points. The S&P was down 23. The NASDAQ down 100. So the markets did not like this, and some have called it disastrous. Here's a story from townhall.com. Stocks tank after disastrous first quarter GDP report. The U.S. economy grew at 1.6%. A significant slowdown from the fourth quarter, in which the GDP increased 3.4%. They had expected to be somewhere around 2.5%, but it came much lower than that, and that indicates a sluggish economy. And then at the other side of it, across the board, inflation is not coming down, as President Biden continues to claim. The weak economy reflects the view of American small business owners. According to a national poll of small business owners, 2/3 say current economic conditions could force them to close. 2/3. Slow economic growth is a direct result of bad Democrat policies that have caused stubbornly high inflation, overregulation, and a credit crunch. Now, this is important for a lot of reasons. Now, you may say, Brian, I don't know. What does this mean? I'll tell you what it means. It means that the economy is stagnating and that jobs may be lost. I mean, I've got a story here about Southwest Airlines firing 2,000 employees. A lot of things are happening. But, I mean, what's going on? It means that business will slow. Jobs will become more difficult to find if the economy is not growing. That means the consumer's not spending money. The consumer's not spending money. Companies pull in their horns. That's just what happens. Not good for Joe Biden. Joe Biden is this is just sort of adds to the whole thought about Joe Biden that he's not handling the economy very well. And he's not. And he is responsible for the inflation. He is responsible for this. And it means that as people look at the economy and they study things and the economy starts to show signs of slowing down and inflation doesn't seem to be wanting to come down to the 2% level that the Fed says it wants before it can lower interest rates, it just adds. People are getting weary about the economy. And when they're weary about the economy, it's the number one thing on their mind, according to some polls. Number two, on other polls say it's number two. Immigration and inflation, the two big things that are on people's mind as they head to the polls. And Joe Biden is being blamed for this sluggish economy. They tried to put lipstick on the pig or pig on the lipstick. I don't know, you could do it backwards. It'd be a little hard. But they tried to put lipstick on the pig today, but nobody's buying it. Everybody knows these numbers are just not good. And then to add to all of that, this insane story, if you're running for election, it seems to me the last thing that you would want to say is make a promise that if I'm reelected, I'm going to raise your taxes. But that's essentially what Joe Biden did yesterday. This is like, what is going on with this guy? You would never want to say this. But he said that if he's reelected, that he will let the Trump tax cuts that have been in effect since 2017, that we've all gotten used to, he would let them lapse and we would go back to higher tax rates across the board. Remember, Donald Trump got us a $2 trillion tax cut. Now, the Democrats say, well, that overwhelmingly benefited the wealthy and exploded the federal debt. You know what I would say? It generated a vibrant economy. Tax cuts work when you give people more of their money and you say you can have this money and you can spend it rather than have the government spend it. The economy just goes crazy. It happens every single time. But now that you've gotten used to that, you need to know that if reelected, Joe Biden says he will let those tax cuts expire. Here's what he said. On X. Donald Trump was very proud of his $2 trillion tax cut that overwhelmingly benefited the wealthy and biggest corporations and exploded the federal debt. The tax cut is going to expire. If I'm reelected, it's going to stay expired. He essentially said, if I'm reelected, count on higher taxes. Sometimes I just don't understand this guy at all. He's shooting himself in the foot. And there's it right there. Is the 30-second political ad. He's wrong on inflation. He's wrong on immigration. And now he says if you reelect him, he'll raise your taxes. And it's all accurate. It's not made up. It's true. He is essentially saying that by saying he'll let the tax cuts expire. It's nuts. And I'm telling you, the economy, what's the old saying? It's the economy, stupid. It is. It's the immigration stupid and it's the economy stupid in this election. And both of those issues are bad for Joe Biden. 50 minutes now past the hour of 5 o'clock. Let me tell you about the folks over at Eurofix. Have you noticed how unreliable things have become these days? Like when someone tells you it'll be ready at 4 p.m. and it's not. People are really tired of that kind of stuff. If you've had it with unreliable vehicle repair shops, come to Eurofix. Eurofix turns unreliable into reliable, and Eurofix has your vehicle ready when it's really supposed to be ready, so you're not standing around waiting for your car to get ready. Eurofix repairs all European cars with quality that beats the dealer without dealer pricing. That's because dealer repair shops are designed to pay virtually all of a dealership's overhead, and that's a ton of money. Why would you want to pay for that? At Eurofix, reliable also means a 3-year nationwide warranty plus a free loaner car with every repair appointment. Be sure you call ahead because loaner cars are very popular. If you're tired of unreliable repair shops, come to where it is reliable. Eurofix, family owned for 24 years. Call 844-EUROFIX or visit myeurofix.com. That's myeurofix.com.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Matt Murphy for Members Nutrition. I want to tell you about the Members Nutrition difference, and I want to encourage you to go over to the Members Nutrition website. Number one, they believe at Members Nutrition that they can sell vitamins and supplements at a lower cost point, and they're doing it every single day at membersnutrition.com. Number two, they want to make these products right here in the United States of America, not from some overseas company, and they do that every single day. I encourage you to go to membersnutrition.com. You'll get 50% off your purchase price at checkout. You don't have to put in any codes. Just go to membersnutrition.com. Once again, membersnutrition.com.
Some breaking news. We've got a ground delay at B&A, reasons unknown. President Biden announcing an investment into semiconductor chips, a suspect at large in Laverne, a hush money trial with Donald Trump continuing, and a cat gets missing in a way that makes you say, you've got to be kidding me. Those stories and more at 6 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Oh, that story is the cat's meow right there. I can't
good
grief. So I just got word that the state legislature has gone sine die. They're done. We'll look back over what was accomplished and what was not accomplished in the next hour here on The Drive. Right now, it is 57 minutes past the hour of 5 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. Are you curious about what your retirement nest egg could be? Use Beacon Capital Management Retirement Savings Calculator to find out. It's easy to use, it's fast, and it's free. You'll get immediate results. To do this, all you got to do is go to their website, askbeaconnow.com, to get started. And then once you find out, you're probably going to want to talk to them in greater detail, because I think you're going to find out that you're probably a little behind. You worried about it? Wouldn't it be great to not worry about it, to have peace of mind that you're on the right path? Beacon can provide that reassurance. It starts with a simple phone call. The experts at Beacon will take it from there. You have nothing to lose except for all the worry. So here's the number, 615-488-9303. At the end of the process, you'll be able to rest easy knowing you have a plan that meets all your retirement goals. Replace the worry with confidence that you're on the right path. Again, the number, 615-488-9303. And you can learn more by going to their website, askbeaconnow.com.
What an absolute mess. Hey, it's Dan Mandison. Look at my closets. Unorganized to say the least. Even my window dormer is a train wreck. Stuff is everywhere. Now, luckily, California Closets is coming to my rescue. My personal design consultant, Vince, stopped by, measured, and is now showing me how to become more space efficient and organized on his 3D CAD system. It is amazing. And soon, my space is going to be organized, and yes, even Bandit approves. California Closets, a local company that can customize the storage in any room of your house. California Closets, what can they do for you? Find them online at californiaclosets.com and reach out for your free in-home consultation.
Six o'clock, I'm Mac Maury with your top story, 68 degrees and looking like it'll be a beautiful evening here on Music Row. Possible showers coming tomorrow. Full weather forecast, traffic report, 5 minutes. Breaking news here in Music City, the FAA has issued a ground delay for B&A that'll be in effect until around 7 p.m. It's for all arriving and departing aircraft. B&A has not said why there is a ground delay issued. They advise passengers to check with your airline directly for the most up-to-date flight information. And before back-to-back fundraisers in New York tonight and tomorrow, President Biden visited Syracuse this afternoon. The president announcing a significant investment to build semiconductor factories in the U.S. It's part of the push by the administration to make the U.S. a leader in global chip manufacturing. Karen Travers, details.
President Biden Thursday announced a more than $6 billion agreement with semiconductor manufacturer Micron to build facilities in New York and Idaho, calling it the single biggest private investment in the history of these two states. The president said the investment from the CHIPS and Science Act will create 70,000 jobs across the two states and move the U.S. forward on the administration's goal of producing 20% of all semiconductor chips here in the U.S.
All manufacturing of leading-edge chips moved to Asia years ago. That's why today this is such a big deal, and it is a big deal.
And this just in, I'm seeing on Channel 4, the Governor, Bill Lee, plans to sign that armed teachers bill into law. As expected, here in Tennessee, the City Hall and the Public Library in Laverne were in a temporary lockdown this morning after a suspect fled a crash on foot. The crash happened on Murfreesboro Road and 73rd Avenue following a pursuit that started in Smyrna. The suspect, described as a black man wearing a black mask, khaki pants, a green sweatshirt, no shoes. Officials ask that you call 911 if you see any suspicious activity. Supreme Court heard arguments today on former President Trump's immunity claims that would protect him from prosecution in trying to overturn the 2020 election. Jonathan Carl on the timing of the court's decision.
If the Supreme Court, A, either takes a long time to issue this ruling, or B, doesn't issue a ruling that allows the criminal case to go forward, I see absolutely no way that you could see a January 6th election interference federal case go to trial before the election.
And in Utah, a Salt Lake City family got a surprise when their missing cat ended up in California. Turns out it's because the cat became an Amazon shipment. Alex Stone.
Carrie Clark tells her partners at ABC News radio affiliate KSL in Salt Lake City her family's indoor cat named Galena mysteriously disappeared on April 10th. Then last week they got notified Galena had been found inside of an Amazon box with work boots. It turns out, Clark says, when they put the boots into an oversized Amazon box to return them, Galena jumped in and was trapped in that Amazon box for 6 days. An Amazon employee found Galena, who is fine, and cared for her before bringing her to a vet.
And yes, reportedly that cat is feline fine now, but man, that was another catastrophe. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather are next. I'm Mac Morey, WTN News.
What an absolute mess. Hey, it's Dan Mandison. Look at my closets. Unorganized to say the least. Even my window dormer is a train wreck. Stuff is everywhere. Now, luckily, California Closets is coming to my rescue. My personal design consultant, Vince, stopped by, measured, and is now showing me how to become more space efficient and organized on his 3D CAD system. It is amazing. And soon, my space is going to be organized, and yes, even Bandit approves. California Closets, a local company that can customize the storage in any room of your house. California Closets, what can they do for you? Find them online at californiaclosets.com and reach out for your free in-home consultation.
It's 7 minutes now past the hour of 6 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. I'm Brian Wilson, your friend and radio buddy, and you're listening to The Drive. Good evening. It is a beautiful evening here. Springtime has definitely arrived, and I'm telling you, it is nice. But we've got a little breaking news here that I'm trying to run down. The BNA, without explanation, has said that there is a ground stop out at the airport, and I think I have the answer. According to reliable sources, it has to do with the fact that the FAA air traffic controllers called out sick.
Kidding me?
Yeah. Now I'm looking at the delay board here at the Federal Aviation Administration. They don't even have BNA up on it, but I do see that there are some other delays around the country. I think there's a problem in Boston and a problem in Las Vegas and at LaGuardia. And so I'm trying to figure out exactly what's going on, but I think what I'm beginning to sense is that there may be something going on with the flight controllers. I need a moment or two to try to see if you can find the National Airspace System Status Board, because when I looked a moment ago, it looks like that they have BNA on the map. Here's the map view. That's what I'm looking for. It has BNA as being green. So they haven't yet put that on there. But there are problems in Las Vegas, Boston, and LaGuardia, as well as maybe San Francisco, it seems to me. But BNA closed down, they say, until no departures, no arrivals. Nothing is going to take place there until at least 7 o'clock. And authorities tell me, sources tell me, rather, that it has to do with the FAA controllers apparently called out sick. So can you pull up the board at BNA? That would be the thing. Let's look at the BNA board. We're running this down in real time, folks. So watching the sausage being made is not always pretty, but I want to make sure that we get the very latest information on this breaking story. Nobody else, to my knowledge, has reported what we now know. Flight status. Let's see. I'm looking at the board now. I got a lot of arrivals.
I am seeing a lot of the departures that were scheduled for right around 6 o'clock, and then beyond that do show delayed.
Yep, I think you're right. Yep,
pretty much everything does.
Yeah. So it's going to be a mess out of BNA. If you have a flight out, you need to check in with your airline. Your airline may not even know this yet. In fact, I think we're on the cutting edge of breaking news here, in that we have hit through, I think, a good, reliable source that the FAA air traffic controllers at BNA have called in sick. And so the airport is going to be just a disaster until that gets resolved. And I don't know that you can get it resolved when they say it's going to be resolved. I mean, you got to have air traffic controllers.
And I'm assuming they obviously work in shifts like everyone else. So the people that are there now are saying they don't want to stay late, or that's just really interesting to me. Yeah, surely one crew doesn't leave before the other one shows up.
Well, but here's the thing. I think there are limits on how many hours you can work. I mean, that's one of the most stressful jobs and that's out there. I'll give you that one. It is a stressful job. But man, I mean, we haven't had an air. I mean, this is, I wouldn't call it a strike, but it's a sick out, which sometimes is a prelude to a strike. I think right now the listeners of this radio station are on the cutting edge of what is going to be a bigger story, maybe even a nationwide story, because I have a feeling this doesn't happen in isolation at one FAA facility in Nashville and not happen elsewhere. So things are going to be pretty chaotic, I think, especially here in Nashville for sure, but maybe this may affect. I'm looking at other stories. I don't see any breaking reports. The FAA would be the person who would be the organization that could confirm this. But I'm telling you right now, flight status is going to delayed flights leaving BNA. It's going to be a problem, I would imagine, well, for the rest of today at the very least. So we'll continue to watch it. Chris, you keep looking around, if you could, to see what else you can learn, and keep checking the FAA websites to make sure that we're not missing out on something here. But this is a big story, no doubt, especially here locally, maybe larger implications as well nationwide. Let's talk, if I could, briefly, with the time I have left in this segment, because I've taken it up with breaking news. Let me talk a little bit about the polling data that came out today. Now, the polling data that came out today is much different than the kind of polling data that we normally talk about. And we're normally talking about where are the battleground states, what's the general election, what's the gap, how much is Trump winning by, this, that, and the other. Yesterday, just a real quick synopsis, the news was pretty good with regard to the battleground states, in that there was a Bloomberg battleground poll that came out that said that Trump was leading in, I think, 6 out of the 7. Some of these are no longer, I mean, he was ahead in like North Carolina by 10. Which that's not even close. And if there are other polls that sort of verify that finding in North Carolina, it would seem to me you'd have to take that out of the battleground. You have to just award that one to Trump. So that's, I think that's happening. I think it looks pretty good in Nevada, looks pretty good in Arizona, looks pretty good in Georgia. The ones to watch are going to be Pennsylvania and Wisconsin, I think, and Michigan. Those 3. Trump needs to win 2 of those 3 to get to 270, I think. That's the way it looks to me today. So we'll continue to watch that and see but these polls are different than that. The polls that I'm going to share with you talk about where the electorate is on the issues. And, on the big picture here is on the 2 biggest issues. And depending on which poll you look at, pollsters have said that Americans find immigration to be either number 1 or number 2. It goes back and forth between the state of the economy and immigration, depending on how you ask the question, I think, really a lot of it. And so let's look at where we are on some of these things. Here we go. This is Breitbart, their take on a poll that was published on Wednesday. It's an Economist YouGov poll. President Joe Biden's approval rating is deep underwater in what Americans rated as the top 2 issues. Published Wednesday. We're reporting on it today. Picked the most important issue from 7 months away from the election. Top response was inflation. That's the number 1 issue at 24%. Second most popular choice was immigration. 97% of all respondents tabbed inflation as important, with 77% saying it is very important. And as you know, the economy is in the tank. And we got a very bad GDP number today. We were just talking about that, right? Well, that is not good for Joe Biden. Similarly, 85% consider immigration an important issue, including 56% who see it as very, very important. Joe Biden's approval rating on these fronts are more than 30 points underwater. Only 29% approve of his handling of inflation and prices. 62% disapprove of his performance, including 49% who strongly disapprove. And that number is even worse for Biden among independents. Now, why do we talk about this? Independents. This is very, very important. The margin for independents is important because, well, you're going to have a certain number of people who are going to vote for Donald Trump, and there's a certain number of people going to vote for Joe Biden. That's just sort of locked in. That's the base. It's the independents in the middle who decide the elections. And listen to this statistic. Only 17% of independents approve of how Biden has approached inflation versus 72% who disapprove. I want to repeat that. Almost 3/4 of those who were polled, who were independents, disapprove of the way Joe Biden has handled the issue of inflation. And when it gets to immigration, all right, 29% approval rating on immigration, 61% disapprove. When you get to independents, just 17% again give him positive marks, and 69% give him negative marks on the issue of immigration, give him a negative view, 69% negative view on immigration. That's independence. I'm telling you, the bottom line here is when you're underwater that badly with the independents, you've got a serious, serious problem on your head. If I'm Joe Biden and if I'm his campaign people, I look at those numbers. I'm telling you, it's got to be scary to them. And if you're Donald Trump, you got to look at it and say reassured, because I'm on the right side on both the economy. People remember the economy. It was good under Trump. I'm on the right side of immigration. This all started after Joe Biden took office and undid all of my policies. So people know that. People realize that. So Donald Trump's on the right side and Joe Biden on the wrong side of those two particular issues, which are seen by voters as the most important issues. Here's one. This one comes from Axios, just on the issue of immigration. Survey done by Harris found that a full 42% of Democrats favor, now this is amazing, 42% of Democrats favor mass deportations as a solution to Biden's self-created border crisis. Wow. When 42% of the people in your own party say that it's so bad that the only answer is to turn to mass deportations, you know that issue is not resonating well even within your own party. Even within your own party. Here's another one, Breitbart Rasmussen poll. 21% of voters strongly approve of Joe Biden. 49% strongly disapproved. Overall, the poll found a 20-point difference between voters who approved of Biden and those did not. He's underwater by 20 points on his approval rating. Underwater. So that's not good either as well. And to make things worse, as I keep pointing out, Joe Biden, in a statement on X, that somebody, I cannot believe that they put this out. I mean, nobody believes that the president actually handled his own X account. He's got people that do that, but they basically, he said on X, under his name, he said, look, the Trump tax cuts are about to expire, and if I am reelected, I'll make sure they stay expired, which means that he will be in favor of raising your taxes. That is a gift. The Biden campaign just gave Republicans a gift, because not only can they say, you're wrong on the economy, you're wrong on immigration, and you're going to raise our taxes. I mean, that campaign ad writes itself. Again, repeating our breaking news, if you're headed out to BNA, there is a ground stop on, and they didn't explain why, but we have sources that have told us that it was the FAA flight controllers did not show up for work this afternoon for the afternoon shift. I don't know when the shift begins. I'm guessing it's around 3 o'clock. That's generally when shifts change. And I'm just guessing. That's just my thought on it. But now the evening shift did not show up. They called in sick. And BNA is in a ground stop until 7 o'clock?
And apparently they've changed it. According to the Fly Nashville X account, they posted that the FAA has issued a ground delay at BNA that will affect all arriving and departing aircraft until approximately 7 p.m. So it's not a stop, apparently, but it is a delay. So things are kind of delayed. I guess they're trying to work out. And I have gotten reports of people that are at the airport or in the vicinity of the airport saying that flights are coming and going. So it's not a complete stop.
Well, they must have gotten somebody into the towers.
I guess so.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll try to find out what's going on. But it was initially said it was going to be a stop. Maybe it's not going to be as bad. I mean, I don't know what the solution is here. But one way or the other, something's going on, and we'll try to get to the bottom of it. 21 minutes now past the hour of 6 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. If you're happy with your weight, then great. I'm happy for you. But if you are like many people, including myself, and you're not happy with where your weight is, well, why don't you try to do something about it instead of just letting things stay the way they are. You know, I started regaining a lot of the weight I lost last year, and I decided I don't want to do the yo-yo thing. I don't want to go up and down and up and down. I want to get this under control. And so I approached the folks at Restoration Wellness Med Spa, and I said, help me out. And so what I found here is a program developed by Jamie and Carly over at Restoration Wellness Med Spa. By the way, two lovely people. They really are nice. They developed this plan for me. And see, it's not a one-size-fits-all approach. They take a look at your history, your lifestyle, and suggest an approach that, well, for me, is starting to show real results. And amazingly, I'm not hungry, which is incredibly huge. Beyond that, Cabana Wife and I are undergoing peptide therapy at Restoration Wellness Med Spa and are thrilled with the results. We have both noticed greater mental clarity and increased energy. So whether your goal is to lose weight or just in other ways to improve your overall health, Restoration Wellness Med Spa has a solution for you. Maybe it's time for you to join more than 1,000 patients who have already seen life-changing results. Listen, why don't you learn more by going to the website wellnessmedspa.com, restorationwellnessmedspa.com. Here's the number, 615-470-8124.
What an absolute mess. Hey, it's Dan Mandison. Look at my closets. Unorganized to say the least. Even my window dormer is a train wreck. Stuff is everywhere. Now, luckily, California Closets is coming to my rescue. My personal design consultant, Vince, stopped by, measured, and is now showing me how to become more space efficient and organized on his 3D CAD system. It is amazing. And soon, my space is going to be organized, and yes, even Bandit approves. California Closets, a local company that can customize the storage in any room of your house. California Closets, what can they do for you? Find them online at californiaclosets.com and reach out for your free in-home consultation.
All right, we're still trying to work through this because we're getting people out at the airport are telling us that the planes are going and they're departing. So apparently, what we see now is at first it looked like, well, they set a ground stop into what, 7? That was the initial report,
right?
And then we were told by a reliable source that FAA controllers had called in sick. So what happened is they said, well, there was going to be a delay. And I said, well, how are you going to fix that? I don't know how they fixed it, but they now have said that planes are now again departing and leaving and arriving at BNA. And it was for a while, they moved it from a stop to a delay. And now they're saying that the delay has been lifted.
That's correct.
Now, I would imagine it might be still a little chaotic because you got a backlog of flights.
Absolutely.
I mean, what if you're on final approach or you're out there getting ready to land at BNA and you get told, I'm sorry, the airport is closed. We don't have any air traffic controllers.
Better hope you got enough fuel.
So where are you going to go? Where are you going to land? Where I hope you do too. So I don't know how that all got worked out, but apparently they say it has been worked out. Now, I still think there's a bigger story there, and the story is, well, why did they call in sick? Was it a sick out, or were they truly sick? I mean, I guess that is entirely possible. I don't know. I keep hearing there's something going around, but I mean,
all of them though. That's what's weird. I mean,
yeah.
I don't know how many are in a crew, but I'm sure it's a handful at least, right?
Right. I don't know. Maybe they got some other people to come back from the earlier shift. Maybe the managers went to the tower and started, back up the operation. But I have a feeling there's another shoe to drop, and there's more to this story than what we are now hearing. Is what I'm beginning to sense. So anyway, hopefully, if you're going out to BNA, you might have a little bit of a delay. They got a backlog to work through, no doubt. But apparently, they are going to be able to get things going again. We'll see. We're on it. Well, we just don't know what really is going on, but it doesn't sound like it was a very good afternoon in the control tower at BNA. All right. So what else is going on? Well, I'll tell you what. We're going to go ahead and do the news, and then we'll make it up on the other side. Let's call it 30 minutes past the hour of 6 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. Let me tell you about the folks over at United Structural Systems, a great place to go if you have problems with foundation issues or structural issues on your house. This is your most important investment, and you really need to address these things. Don't wait until it's too late. Sometimes if you get started earlier, you can save yourself a lot of money. You don't want to wait until things get worse. Now, with all the rain we've had, you really need to think about waterproofing issues around your house. Do you have any of these symptoms? Your house could be giving you the signs that you got a problem. Standing water in a crawl space, wet basement walls, musty odors, or floor joists with wood rot, cracks in the basement floors. What about hardwood floors that seem to be cupping? That comes from the moisture underneath. Your house is trying to tell you something, and you need to call the folks at USS. Get them to come out. They'll come out to your house, take a look at your situation, give you their assessment, give you their advice, and if you decide to go forward, you don't pay a penny until the job is done, and you are completely satisfied. That's right. At USS, they give you their best every time. They guarantee their best, serving Middle Tennessee, Southern Kentucky, Western Kentucky, online at USSTN.com. Here's the number, 615-488-7855.
What an absolute mess. Hey, it's Dan Mandison. Look at my closets. Unorganized to say the least. Even my window dormer is a train wreck. Stuff is everywhere. Now, luckily, California Closets is coming to my rescue. My personal design consultant, Vince, stopped by, measured, and is now showing me how to become more space efficient and organized on his 3D CAD system. It is amazing. And soon, my space is going to be organized, and yes, even Bandit approves. California Closets, a local company that can customize the storage in any room of your house. California Closets, what can they do for you? Find them online at californiaclosets.com and reach out for your free in-home consultation.
All right. It looks like airplanes are moving again out at BNA. So, we'll see. We'll try to track down exactly what was going on. I stand by my earlier report. I believe it accurate that apparently a bunch of flight controllers called in sick. Now, maybe they are sick, or maybe it's an action of some kind. I don't know. But one way or the other, that was the problem. And now apparently they have found a way, as you say, they found a workaround. They have to put the supervisors in the tower. Get out of that desk and get up into the tower and put on a headset. What was we had a great comment from the Members Nutrition Super Text line.
Oh, yeah. Andy says, did they have the fish or the chicken? Some of you out there got that.
Yeah, that's from my favorite movie. No, I had the lasagna. There you go. All right, here we go. Can we squish? Do you mind if we squish?
Sure, I'm always down for
I got a
squish.
ton of stuff here, and a lot of these things don't really relate one to the other, but I just want to sort of squeeze them in at the end of the show. So sometimes because they don't merge, they don't blend, there's no way to segue. We just squish them together like this. Okay, there we go. These states allow school employees to carry firearms on campuses. By the way, the governor says he's going to sign that bill. That came out this afternoon. That was passed by the Tennessee House. So that's going to happen. But there are 33 states that currently have the ability for teachers to carry a weapon on campus. Some of them have really absolutely very few restrictions. Anyone with permission from the school authority can carry a weapon on campus in the following states: Alaska, Arizona, Connecticut, Georgia, Iowa, Kansas, Kentucky, Louisiana, Massachusetts, Michigan, Minnesota, Montana, New Jersey, Nevada, Ohio, Oregon, South Carolina, Texas, Utah, and Vermont. In these states, if you have a concealed carry permit, that's all you need. You're a teacher and you got a concealed carry permit. In these states, you can pack heat in the classroom. Alabama, Oregon, and Utah. If you have a concealed carry permit and permission from a school authority, you can carry in Idaho, Indiana, Missouri, and Oklahoma. And then there's a smattering of others. A concealed carry permit and permission from the school. I said that permission from school authority and required training in Florida, South Dakota. So, I mean, but here's the thing about this story that just sort of sticks out at me. And that is that, we heard of all these people that were in the gallery at the state legislature pointing down and saying, blood's going to be on your hands, children will die, shame on you, and all this kind of stuff. Well, we got 33 states where some version of this is already allowed, and can you point to anything where there's been an example where something bad has happened? Can you? Because I haven't heard of anything. Seemed like that would have been in the news, right? Pretty sure. So, I'm just notified by a little birdie that we already allow college professors and administrators to carry weapons on college campuses and rural distress counties in K through 12. So it's going to be signed into law by the governor. And, I honestly don't think it's going to impact more than just a handful of schools around the state. I think that the protests about this were completely overblown. Vice President Kamala Harris, by the way, weighed in. Arming teachers is not the answer, and she says the state of Tennessee should be ashamed. Yeah, okay, thanks. Oracle, we told you earlier this week that Oracle is coming to Nashville. We knew they were going to build a campus here, but we didn't know that it was going to become their worldwide headquarters. And it was sort of made in an announcement, it just kind of blooped out there when the CEO of Oracle was being interviewed by Bill Frist at a thing here in Nashville, an event, and he said, yeah, we're coming to Nashville. It's going to be our worldwide headquarters. Well, nobody seemed to tell the city of Austin that Oracle plans to move its headquarters. They found out the same way you and I did. They said they were very surprised. Austin city leaders said they had not been told about the plan. City Hall was as surprised as everyone else with the Oracle announcement, said Austin Mayor Kirk Watson. We look forward to learning more from the media reports. Okay. This is a weird one. Oh, we forgot to squish. I'm sorry. I got ahead of you. It's my fault. A Secret Service agent removed from the vice president's security detail after distressing behavior. And we talked about this the other day briefly, but it is interesting. A member of Vice President Harris's security detail was removed over a behavioral issue, the Secret Service confirmed to The Hill. The Secret Service special agent, by the way, these are the best of the best at the Secret Service, was working on the vice president's departure from Joint Base Andrews on Monday, began displaying behavior that their colleagues found distressing, said Secret Service Chief of Communication Anthony Guglielmi in a statement. The agent was removed from their assignment while medical personnel were summoned. Okay. The vice president was at the Naval Observatory when this incident occurred. There was no impact on her departure from Joint Base Andrews. What I know from Secret Service statements is they leave out a lot. They give you the bare minimum of what they say, and generally there is what I consider in public relations the sin of omission. They don't give you the information. They leave a lot of details out. The Washington Examiner first reported it, calling it a fight with other agents before the vice president's flight on Monday. The outlet reported the agent became aggressive, and when a supervisor attempted to calm the agent, a physical altercation started that led to the agent being handcuffed. It's a weird one. Again, I wouldn't bring it up. Maybe the guy was having a bad moment, maybe having a medical issue. I don't know. But I'm telling you, my Spidey reporter senses tingle a bit when I get a press release from the Secret Service, because they tend not to tell you exactly what went down. I mean, one time there was a wreck, and I mean the car was heavily damaged, and they wrote it up as if maybe there was somebody had scratched them in the parking lot. You know, I don't know. Squish. Texas prosecutor declines to charge student protesters arrested at UT Austin. Now, the governor ordered 50 people, or the state said state troopers go in there and arrest more than 50 people at the University of Texas at Austin at the protest there. And Greg Abbott said, nope, we're not going to have that in my state. Go out there and arrest those people. And they got arrested. 50 of them went to jail after they got arrested by the state patrol. Police in riot gear broke up an unsanctioned but nonviolent demonstration at the state's flagship university Wednesday. Among those arrested was a journalist with local Fox 7 News who was charged with criminal trespassing, according to the news organization. That'll get thrown away. They always do. The student had called out on a UT to divest from arms manufacturing. Okay, same thing going on in other campuses, but the governor said we're not going to have it. And then now comes word that the prosecutor in Texas, I guess in Austin, be the DA Austin, Bexar County. Is that Bexar County? No, that's San Antonio. Well, anyway, the district attorney there in Austin apparently decided not to bring charges, and they had been released. Squish. Buying a home is costly more than ever. Prices hitting an all-time high, and mortgage rates are rising. I wish I had some good news for you with regard to this. I mean, a lot of people want to get into the housing market, and they've been priced out because basically with interest rates at 7.39, 7.4%, they just can't afford it. I was very lucky in that when we were, selling the house in Florida and buying the house here in Watertown, we got in at 5%, which is, higher than a lot of people pay. But I mean, I paid at one point in my life, I paid 12, I think. Yeah, long time ago, but I did. So 5%, I wish it were better, but it's not. And when it comes down, I'll refinance. But today you're trying to get it at 7.4%. And a lot of people are just priced out of the market because when you have those higher interest rates, your monthly mortgage payment goes way up. But here's the news. That I think you'll find out of it. The cost of homes is not going down. It's, in fact, going up 5% over where it was last year. That's pretty astonishing. The median U.S. home sale price hit a record $383,725 during the 4 weeks ending April 21st. That's up 5.2% from a year earlier. That's a big jump since October of 22. According to a new report from Redfin, they look at all of this stuff on a regular basis. So an average medium-priced home nationwide, now it's going to be more in some places, less in others, but the median cost of a home is $383,000. Let's call it $384,000. That's what it's going to cost you. Let's see. The asking price, the median asking price is up 6.7%. People are asking for on average, on a median price average, $415,000. The monthly mortgage payment is up 12.6%, and that's back when interest rates were at 7.1%. Median monthly mortgage payment is now, what would you guess, Chris?
$2,300.
$2,843.
Oh, good grief.
Yeah. Whew. New listings are up 10%. Pending sales down 4%. Month supply on the market right now, 3.2 months on average. So they got some inventory, as they say. Here we go. Southwest Airlines is exiting multiple airports. They are leaving Houston's George Bush Intercontinental Airport in Houston. That was good if you wanted to get to Houston and then take an international flight. But most of Southwest flights go into Houston Hobby, which is a good airport. The Bellingham International Airport in Washington, the Cozumel International Airport. I flew on Southwest to Cozumel. I had a great experience, but that is no longer, that flight's not going to be available because they're pulling out of Cozumel. And the Syracuse Hancock International Airport in New York. And they blame it on Boeing's manufacturing delays. They did not have a good quarter at Southwest. It used to be Southwest was the only airline making money, and that's not happening anymore. They reported a loss of $231 million, 39 cents a share for the quarter. They say it's because of delays in getting aircraft from Boeing. This is the thing that actually has worked for Southwest for many years. Southwest only flies one aircraft. They fly the Boeing 737, and for years it was just the base model. They would fly those things. They were a very solid, very reputable aircraft. But then you started having problems with the 737 MAX, 8, 9, whatever they're at now, 10, 11, 12, I don't know. Whatever it is, they began having problems with them. And so Boeing has said, we're not going to make as many aircraft while we focus on quality control issues, which is what you have to do when the doors come off your aircraft in the mid-flight. So they're saying that because we can't get aircraft and because of that, we're going to take a hit. I don't know all the story, but they're going to let go about 2,000 employees before the year is over. Dealing with higher labor costs and delays in getting new planes, limiting their ability to add more flights at a time when you have higher demand for travel. So Southwest going through a little bit, and they're blaming a lot of it on their long-term relationship with Boeing. I mean, it worked to their advantage because, the great thing about having just one aircraft is you only have to know how to maintain one aircraft. I mean, I don't know how the other airlines do it when we got Airbus, we got Boeing, we got other kinds of we got Embraers, so they got all kinds of different aircraft. And all of those things, require that you have to have certain parts on hand, that you got to have certain people to know how to repair all kinds of different aircraft. So I can understand why it had worked to their advantage till now, but no longer is it working to their advantage. And then one more little squish story about Southwest Airlines. I hope they don't do this, but they are thinking about changing the way they seat people on a plane and maybe even charging more for certain seats on the aircraft.
Don't do it.
Don't do it, Southwest. Don't do it. We love the way this works. If you know how to work the system, you can do just really, really fine. But apparently they look at other airlines and they say, well, they're making a lot of money by charging extra for certain seats. Maybe we should do the same. I hope they reject that idea. 50 minutes now past the hour of 6 o'clock.
What an absolute mess. Hey, it's Dan Mandison. Look at my closets. Unorganized to say the least. Even my window dormer is a train wreck. Stuff is everywhere. Now, luckily, California Closets is coming to my rescue. My personal design consultant, Vince, stopped by, measured, and is now showing me how to become more space efficient and organized on his 3D CAD system. It is amazing. And soon, my space is going to be organized, and yes, even Bandit approves. California Closets, a local company that can customize the storage in any room of your house. California Closets, what can they do for you? Find them online at californiaclosets.com and reach out for your free in-home consultation.